go to the Egyptian meetings, indeed.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, and the topic of this first presentation is a neo-accommodative trochlear lens, which is the Hercules Lumina, in which we have already 1 year clinical outcomes, but we have already 10 years of implantation. First of all, this is indeed a topic that will be important because it's going to be real terms the future of implantology. So first of all, we have accommodation. Accommodation can be defined as a progressive change in the optical power of the lens or intraocular lens related to active ciliary body action. The issue is that we need so the lens changes in power related to ciliary body action. That is accommodation. Any other option, any other way to behave for improving near vision is not accommodation, could be called pseudo-accommodation. And we know that accommodation is based in a multifactorial anatomical basis. And the problem, and the question is, can we recreate an intraocular lens that replicates this mechanism? Are accommodative intraocular lens possible? First, let's see how many models we can have of accommodative lenses. We can have lenses that change in axial position based on the use of single or dual optics. It changes in shape or the curvature of the optical surfaces of the lens, or changes in the refractive index of power. There are examples of the 3 types of lenses that I have mentioned here that have created at this moment the accommodative lenses with different success. We published now, some years ago in 2015, a primary model in which we were using a device that was implanted either in the capsular bag or in the sulcus, and was capable to measure the changes that were induced in the ciliary body sonar capsular diaphragm by changes in the by stimulation, either pharmacological or stimulated the Edinburgh Westphal nucleus with electrostimulation. The finding was very surprising that everything that was placed in the capsular bag failed after 6 months. This is a monkey model, which is the old monkey. It's a very good model for to study accommodation, even that is difficult to manage because they are very aggressive. But we did regular surgery, performing lens surgery and implanting this device inside the capsular bag or the sulcus. And we could demonstrate that we have the references here that the kinetic energy generated by the ciliary body is only effectively measured at the sulcus after 6 months of lens surgery. That means that everything that is placed in the capsular bag missed completely any action after 6 months. The role of the posterior capsule was possibly minimal in accommodation based on the findings that we had in the study. We'll see how important it has been this later on because we have demonstrated that this is true. And we could reach the conclusion that sulcus location and an intra-anterior capsule are the only conditions for developing an adequate accommodative lens, and all the others were really not important. This is the second reference that we published in 2005, and definitely we have a clinical evidence and experimental evidence that the sulcus is a better place for an accommodative lens than it is in the capsular bag. And based in this, we developed first one lens that was not never reached a commercial value, but now we have the Hercules Lumina accommodative intraocular lens that is the one that we are implanting. This lens is based on the Alvarez principle, in which 2 elements of varifocal optics are sliding one into the other, creating a continuous change in the power of the eye, and because the power of the lens is changing. This is related to the ciliary body action, and this is indeed an accommodative lens based on a totally different principle than the ones that were implanted formerly. This is the lens that how it is implanted, just for you to see how we perform a surgery with this lens, which is implanted in the sulcus. The surgery is performed always making the main incision in the positive meridian. We use microincisional surgery, MICS, and we use intraocular mydriatics. We use at this moment Provis, and we are creating a capsulosis with a coaxial forceps that, of a size that is our choice. Basically, I use a 5mm capsulosis. The capsulosis size is irrelevant for the use of this lens, and we try not to be very big because then the lens can be trapped in the capsulosis without being visible under the pupil at the end of the surgery, and not too small because it makes surgery more difficult. We are creating now pre-chopping a maneuver that we do in every case. And then once that the lens has been pre-chopped, we proceed with macro-incisional surgery with a titanium tip without any sleeve through 1 millimeter incision and an irrigating stinger that is used through a 1 millimeter incision as well, creating a continuous flow and a continuous fluidics that makes this surgery to be very effective, very short, and uses minimal energy and is made and finishes with minimal effective acotine. That means it's a very conservative, very elegant, and very neat surgery, very convenient for any eye, and this is our standard. As we are respecting obviously the capsular bag, and then once the lens is emptied from the capsular bag remains, then we are ready for implantation. We are polishing the anterior and posterior capsules like in a normal case, and here is the difference. We use viscoelastic to collapse the anterior capsule. Is not going to be placed inside the capsular bag, but on top of that, on the anterior capsule. We open about 2.8 millimeters, and this is the lens. The lens is implanted with an injector. The injector is just a standard one that we use, and is very similar to any one that you use in the market. The lens should be placed exactly in a position that is marked by the cartridge. Actually, you have marks in the lens to identify if the lens is upside down and to avoid this implantation, because upside down will decrease the performance and indeed the final reflection of the patient. And then we load the cartridge with viscoelastic, and we are ready to implant this lens on the sulcus. To make this implantation, we use more viscoelastic to further collapse the anterior capsule onto the posterior one, and then we are introducing, as you will see, the tip of the cartridge down to the 6 o'clock hours. We inject the lens, taking care that the lens is in the sulcus, and with the second instrument we force the trial haptic to be behind the iris, not trapping the capsular bag. So this is the lens, which is located just at the sulcus. The lens is implanted at 12 o'clock meridian, so this lens is customized in terms of sizing. The size is performed by either UVM or OCT, and then the lens is placed always in the vertical meridian of the eye, which is the one that is the standard of use. Then we clean the viscoelastic. Viscoelastic should be removed both from the top, from the bottom, and from the intermediate part of the lens, as far as we have two optical surfaces that should not be occupied by the viscoelastic, and we finish like any normal cataract surgery. So cataract surgery that takes the same time, is not a problem, and you have to be only careful not to trap the haptics in the capsular bag. This is why we do it 5 millimeters, not larger, which indeed is going to be more complicated. This is the position of the lens. In the sulcus, as you see, the haptics are designed in a way that they are supporting the sulcus, while part of the haptics are supported by the ciliary body. This warranted the transmission of the forces from the ciliary body when contracted into the lens, and makes one of the other surfaces to slide one onto the other in order to change the pole of the eye. That means to create accommodation. We started the study of this lens now 10 years ago. We started with a feasibility study, partially sighted eyes. We did 10 cases that are being followed up to now with no complications after 10 years. We did a second stage in normally sighted eyes. This study was performed in Sofia. We implanted, as you will see, a good number of lenses. And now we are in the third stage, in which we are validating the study that was performed in Sofia, Bulgaria, here in Spain, and in a multicentrical study in which other 4 centers in Spain are involved. There is another multicentrical study that will start internationally very soon. So the study that I'm going to report to you is the one in which we were measuring the subjective and objective cumulative response of this lens in this group of patients implanted in Bulgaria. We implanted 82 eyes of 58 patients with ages that were variable between 40 and 85 years of age. We did a first group of 59 eyes of 43 patients with a closed lumina. Well, 23 eyes of 50 patients were implanted with a control group, the alcohol lens, a monofocal lens. Well, there was a third group, which was a normal group of patients that were 25 with less than 30 years old, completely healthy subjects. Actually, they were subjects from the medical school, and in which we tried to compare the accommodation gain that we had with the lens with a normal person that accommodates in a perfect age in which it is untouched. The examinations that we are reporting now and the results are made at 1 year of implantation. And one of the devices that we use to measure objective accommodation is the wavefront analyzer. Wavefront analyzer uses the stimulus that is coming closer to the eye and is measuring the change in the power of the eye according to this approximation of the target. So with this, you have, as you see, an increase in the power of the eye according to the distance, which is reduced in accommodation. And look here that we have clearly an accommodated response in this very case. Here you have in the left image one case implanted with a control monofocal, while in the right you have one case implanted with the lumina. As you see, we have totally different responses. In the case of the control, we have no accommodated response at all. Well, in the case of the lumina, we had an increase in power related to distance. There were statistically significant differences at all distances between the controls and the probes. And we get the focus curves. With the objective accommodation, we know the change in power. With the focus curve, we know the performance. Obviously, in the focus curve, you have also several accommodation mechanisms that can influence the outcome, and this is why you have to study both. This is the profile in a 30 years old person in your left, in the monofocal control in the middle, and the lumina in the right. As you see, we have different profiles. The monofocal control, obviously, only focus for far. It is what is expected. In the young person, it has a continuous plateau, but that means that this person is able to focus to different distances without any difference in the focal quality. While in the lumina, we have a focus curve that is a plateau as a mean, has a good distance vision, good intermediate, and the near vision is in about 2 to 2.5 diopters accomplishing this. In this case, they are the groups studied after 12 months. And look here, the three groups, how do they behave in terms of the one measurement objective data. In the left, you have the 30 years old control, which is a normal profile of a normal person provided accommodation. The monofocal, there is nothing. In the college lumina, as you see, we have a weaker accommodation than in the 30 years old person, but we have accommodation, and indeed, the profile is about 2/3 of what is shown in the normal 30 years old person. We analyzed the data. We found statistically significant differences between the young control and the monofocal, as expected, between the young control and the lumina, what means that the controls, the normal young people, is accommodating better than with the lumina, but we had a highly significant difference between the lumina and the monofocal. So what we have is a lens that is in between a normal 50 years old person and a monofocal, which is excellent, because as you see, the mean accommodation that we have is between -2 and -3 in this sample. We have the width of the focus curve for a visual width of 0.8 after 2 years, because we have already 3 years data. And as you see, we have in the control group basically nothing. While in the lumina, we have 3.18 diopters with a standard deviation of 0.55, and objective accommodation as measured by the one was 1 diopter. That means that the objective accommodation that is measured by the one, either because instrumental error or because any other reason, is 1/3 of the one that is detected in the subjective study of the vision, and indeed also in the focus curve. What means that either pseudo-accommodation is happening also in this lens, or simply talking that the worm is not capable to measure the real accommodation that is happening in the patient when you use this device to analyze the power of the eye. The correlation between objective and subjective measurements of the is displayed here. As you see, we have in orange the objective accommodation measurements, while it is in blue. While in orange you have the focus curve power. You see that in all the distances at 30, 40, and 33 millimeters, we have difference between the one and the focus curve, which is indeed important to know that we have probably other mechanisms which probably pseudo-accommodation involving the behavior of this lens. This, the data that I'm showing to you was published recently in the number of January 2018. That means this year of Journal of Refractive Surgery. You can really see much more that I'm showing to you here in this paper that was published just 3 months ago. And what about the 3 years out? Look here, the mean that we have for the controls, which is in red, in pink at 1 month, in green at 3 months, in dark green in 6 months, and blue in 3 years. Please pay attention to the 3 years data, and you can see that if you compare this blue line with the pink line, that is 1 month, it is clearly that we improve accommodation with time. So there is accommodative learning in these patients, and indeed many of them have already YAG capsulotomy, what means that this lens is behaving better with time and probably better even if you perform YAG laser capsulotomy. And this is exactly the point. Look here how is the behavior of one case, the first case that we had, following a YAG laser capsulotomy. The patient not only improved far vision, as is well shown here in green, but the near vision and the medium vision increased highly significantly in this case. This was our first case, but I'm showing to you other cases. This is another one in which one is not that spectacular as the previous one, but clearly the near vision was improved by following YAG laser capsulotomy, as well as the intermediate vision. This is another case, more spectacular. In pink, you have after YAG laser capsulotomy. Before, in blue, and you see that with the YAG laser we improve a lot the far vision, but also the intermediate near vision. What means really that YAG laser is improving, what means indeed is that the posterior capsule is an obstacle to accommodation in these cases. So in conclusion, the Lumina intraocular lens does accommodate. Accommodation improves with time, accommodation improves with YAG laser capsulotomy. Posterior capsule shows to be relevant for pseudophakic accommodation, which was already suspected and defined in our experimental monkey model. And just to show to you one clinical case, this is a patient 77 years old, operating in Alicante in January 2017, so this is more than 1 year. I want to show to you this video because it really tells you in real life how this patient behaves. This is a patient and he's talking in Spanish. Okay, so this is the one patient that really is important to reflect to you the daily life of a patient implanted with this Lumina lens. So as a summary, we have both ongetic and subjetic measurements of accommodation, show significant differences between the Lumina and the monofocal group. At least 2/3 of the optical power change is explained by the WOM data, and so the accommodation influences less than 30% of the outcomes, but indeed is present in the lens. The results confirm that the Lumina improves near vision by changing the optical power of the eye, and we have identified different types of the focus scores. What means variability? Variability is expected in any restoration of any physiological function, and in this you have to be ready to have this in your practice. So we have variable amounts of accommodation accomplished. We have that the patients suffer no halos, no glare, no photophenomena in any case. We have high patient satisfaction, and we have no chronic pigment dispersion with no intraocular inflammation, 8 years follow-up safety data, now almost 10, and there is no intraocular pressure rise over time, which is something that we were suspicious at the beginning as far as the location that the subus could stimulate some changes in the angle that could be negative, something that has not been proven by DFS. So thank you very much, and just I would like to invite you to join the study of the course Clinical Methodology and Practical Narcotic Surgery, which is an online continuous edition of the university course that is to a certificate in refractive corneal cataract surgery that is provided by our university online. There are 250 teaching hours, fully in English and fully online, that offers to you the the possibility to have access to this outstanding information, very important for those of you who are in an educational stage of your professional life. Thank you very much, and thank you, Ahmed, for this invitation. We can follow with some discussion.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So it's interesting. I have just a couple of questions. First one, is there any contraindication for this type of biohead, like showering your chamber or something like that?
Well, at this moment, this is still a clinical study, so we have, with the selection of the patients, in those that are with no extreme conditions, for instance, very elongated eyes or very short eyes are not included in the study. Patients with a very narrow anterior chamber, they have a different configuration of the angle, and there's a different configuration also of the sulcus, and we are not including them. So I cannot answer this question. The lowest power that we have implanted is 10 diopters, so this lens works well in high myopes, but we have no case with plano lens, which is very important because it might be that these plano lenses could be implanted on top of previous lenses to gain accommodation, might be. I'm guessing only. And in terms of hyperopus, definitely, if we have an abnormal configuration of the anterior segment, we are not implanted. But for standard cases, there is no limitation. This lens obviously it has no toricity, and if you have the toric component of the refraction, you have to brace with corneal refractor.
Another question, Professor. You said that capsulotomy is performed to improve the accommodation. So you perform it as a routine?
Well, and we only perform dialysis capsulotomy when there is a relevant opacity. So we are following the protocol that we created initially, and the protocol indicates that dialysis is to be performed when the visual acuity for far is decreasing 2 lines. With this indication, all the patients that we have made dialysis had a posterior opacity. Most of them were fibrotic forms, because as the capsular bag is collapsed, the anterior capsule is collapsed onto the posterior, there is no room for the epithelial cells to migrate. So we have fibrotic forms, and this affects about 30% of the patients at 1 year. So you are expected to have dialysis capsulotomy in 30% at least of the patients after 1 year. But my point is, these cases after a certain period of time probably should be jacked, all of them, because PCO will happen, and we don't need the posterior capsule for any purpose in accommodation, inside the phakic accommodation.
Questions from audience, please?
Morning, sir. Can I ask if you do sizing on the IOL before insertion, like sulcus or sulcus diameter, like what Francis said?
Thank you. This is a very important question. The lens is customized as it happens with the ICL. So think that this is the sulcus, and the sulcus is different from patient to patient, and especially in patients with some elongated or short eyes. So what we do is we perform an OCT scan or a UVM or both. With the UVM, we measure the 12 o'clock meridian, because this is the one that constantly will be used for the implantation. And with the OCT equal, we use the 12 o'clock meridian. With the OCT, we see which are the limits of the epithelial side of the iris. The pupillary epithelium can be measured by OCT, especially if we use colorful images, and this corresponds to the sulcus distance, and we use this plus 0.25. And in cases of which you have UVM, we take directly the UVM measurement. Then this data is sent to the company, and with a proprietary software, they create the lens for the optimal size that should have fully sized. The process takes about 4 weeks, so that you have a patient needs 4 weeks to manufacture the lens at this moment of the clinical study. But yes, this is a customized lens in terms of sizing for the 12 o'clock meridian.
Another question, please.
Good morning, George. I have really 3 questions on one. What about the change of refraction after YAG? Second, hyphema, uveitis, glaucoma, Hudson syndrome. And the third question.
Make him answer the first 3 questions.
First 2 questions, please answer.
Okay, thank you. Answering to the second, this was from the very beginning our target, to demonstrate the safety, and we had not a single case of UGS, uveitic glaucoma hyphema, could be expected in cases in which the lens is rubbing to the posterior side of the iris or the sulcus. Not the case of this lens. Consider also that this lens is especially designed for the sulcus, so this was very carefully excluded from the beginning. But the facts are that 10 years following the initial implantations, we have not one single case, not a single one, with a glaucoma uveitis hyphae syndrome at all. We have some pigmentary dispersion at the beginning because consider that we are injecting the lens in the sulcus, so some rubbing of the epithelial side of the iris is going to happen, and so you should expect some pigmentary dispersion in the early post-op, not that much, but some, and then this disappears. We have no progressive loss of pigment, no progressive iris chafing, nothing. This is completely. So the safety of the lens is warranted in terms of the placement at the sulcus.
The last question about the incidence of both BCO and somarin.
Yeah, the LASIK aculotomy up to this moment, and we're talking about 1 year results, we have 3 years, but we have not yet analyzed the LASIK aculotomy in the 30 years data, because not all the cases have 3 years, but at 1 year, this 100% of the cases were estimated, 33% of them had the LASIK aculotomy. And this is expected because you have no contact of the lens with the posterior capsule. The posterior capsule is collapsed with the anterior, and so the epithelial cells are isolated in the periphery. What makes that all these posterior capsule PCOs were fibrotic type, not epithelial type. But you are to be expected that this aculotomy to be necessary because fibrotic changes happen in this case, in these posterior capsules that are initially somehow floppy and later on become very tight for the fibrosis. This tightness is probably the reason of the decrease in accommodation, not only the less vision that the patient suffers, but really the tightness that makes the lens to behave less efficiently in the sulcus. And this is why, once that you liberate this tightness with the laser aculotomy, then you recover not only far vision, but a lot of near vision in most of the cases.
Question, please.
Dear Professor Leo, two things. First, allow me to thank you on behalf of the board of the Upper Egypt Ophthalmology Congress for sharing with us this precious piece of research. Second, I would like to ask you about the learning curve of adaptation that you mentioned during your lecture. How can we explain that? Is it neuroplasticity? Is it increasing contraction of the ciliary body, or do you have any explanations for that?
Well, first of all, let me thank you because I'm most happy to share with you, thanks to modern technology, your meeting that I couldn't attend because professional issues and Russia traveling. And it's my highest satisfaction to be there with my dear friend Ahmed Al-Baghani, my colleague who was with us 2 years, and he was an excellent fellow with us. He did excellent work, and we hope that he will be able to come again. Thank you very much, all of you. And about the behavior of the lens with time. Believe me, this is something that was a surprise, but it's clear that we have a learning process. Learning is not the brain, probably it's the lens that is more tightly fixed in the sulcus, probably is more affected by the anatomy, with time. Probably the lens is behaving better because it is much better placed in the eye. But what you have at the beginning is a patient that about 1 week is capable to read and is happy, and then this patient at 1 year is much better, and then 3 years that is even better, So I don't think that is a learning process of the brain. Maybe there is a better optical behavior of the lens because there is a gain in accommodation, and this gain in accommodation is explained not, in my opinion, for the behavior of the ciliary body, but more for the behavior of the lens, probably with time, because much more adapted or much more integrated into the sulcus, getting the forces of the ciliary body better into the performance of the lens. This is my theory, but actually we're studying this and we cannot give to you the clear answer to this question. But definitely, I don't think it's a brain process, it is an anatomical process.
Thank you very much. I'm honored now to present the second presentation, new corneal regenerative surgery.
Thank you. This second presentation is very interesting. You will see how we are now developing a new type of corneal surgery that for keratoconus is going to, in my opinion, change completely the perspective that we have on this disease. So this is a new cornea stromal regeneration in the treatment of keratoconus is the topic. I want to thank you again, and also the National Network for Clinical Research in Spain, who is now sponsoring a multi-centrical study in Spain on this very topic. And I'm going to show to you the data that we have after 1 year of observation of these patients. First, we know keratoconus is frequent now in our clinics because we have a better approach to the diagnosis. It's an ectopic corneal disorder that causes progressive corneal irregularity with loss of vision, increasing astigmatism, corneal thinning, which is progressive, with or without inflammation associated, and with a clear genetical environment and environmental factors, and it starts in adolescence. We have a variable incidence in Caucasian European population is estimated 1 in 2,000 people, while the prevalence in the USA is 54 cases in 100,000, but in Asia, in Azerbaijan, which is one of the countries with the largest incidences, is 229 cases in 100,000, which means that we have 4 or more incidences in some areas of the world than in others. Keratoconus no longer is a rare disease. It's a plague in certain areas of the world. In Spain, in the Canary Islands, it's estimated 1 every 200 patients. It's a lot, but it's not less in the Arabic Gulf area, in Azerbaijan, and anything in Egypt is very frequent as well. Creates an important and even severe visual disability when the patient is still young and productive, and is the first cause of corneal graft procedures in patients younger than 40 years of age, and the second at the United States, which is indeed remarkable. It causes an important healthcare burden because these surgeries are expensive, and indeed happens to be affecting the quality of life of the patient. If we go to the anatomy, we know that the keratoconus starts at the breakdown of the bone mass membrane. This rupture in the bone mass membrane leads to a progressive deformation that is related to the intraocular pressure, and we change from grade 1 to grade 5 of our classification progressively the anatomy of the cornea, the biomechanism, and the geometry of the cornea, particularly decreasing vision. This was analyzed by us in this paper that was published in Journal of Cataract Surgery, in which we created a new approach to the diagnosis and a new approach to the staging classification of the keratoconus based on multiple variables that were affecting the evolution of the patient. And these cases, in the keratoconus, the changes in the key value, internal astigmatism increase, the root mean square of the coma-like aberrations in the anterior corneal surface, and the sphericity Q value at 10 millimeters defines the decrease in vision. So that means that you have a visual deterioration related to changes in these parameters, which are highly significant associated to the decay in vision. With this, we created this new classification, which makes much more sense than any other formerly, because we will classify keratoconus according to the vision, because the patient goes to the office because he's losing vision, and the patient wants to improve vision. You see that according to the visual decrease, we have changes in the key value, in the internal astigmatism, in the root mean square of coma-like aberration, in the sphericity, and what makes another approach possible in cases like, for instance, in Down syndrome, in which you cannot restore vision. If you know the key value, internal astigmatism, sphericity, and the root mean square of coma-like aberrations, you can deduct more or less which is going to be the vision of the patient, because these variables are highly related to vision. So from 0.9 cases grade 1 to less than 0.2 in grade 4 plus, we have a variety of cases in which vision is deteriorating and progressively causes a visual disability. So which are the alternatives to treat this disease? We have contact lenses that are indeed a way to compensate the refractive error, but are not providing any solution, because it is indeed a great progress in the treatment of these cases, is stabilizing the conus, and indeed either alone or associated to other methods is today the standard of care. Intracorneal rings and segments are widely used to mold the cornea, and they do very well. They have with time some problems with the tolerance of the cornea, and extrusion is frequent with time, but indeed they create a better cornea and better vision in the patients. Corneal graft has been very highly improved by the use of deep anterior lamellar techniques. which are assisted many times by femtosecond laser. Dr. Ahmed Al-Bahani is made with us a study like this, and indeed we have a good technology to use today in these cases. But in any case, all these therapies try to solve a problem that already exists. The tissue is a diseased tissue and is modified, used partially in the geometry by these treatments. All the knowledge about what is happening in the treatment of keratoconus was published in the International Journal of Keratoconus and Corneal Hepatic Diseases, which is available online, and you can download all this monography that we published in English. And we published early 2017 this book in which we reported the recent advances in the diagnosis and treatment of keratoconus as a very important issue, because of everything that was done up to that moment was recorded here. We have corneoplastic techniques, we have corneal surgery, and what I'm going to report to you now is a new type of surgery, which is corneal generative surgery. So, in reviewing the data for the book, we were more and more in the idea that new and better options should exist that excludes the use of foreign body material in the cornea, through the use of toxic light in the cornea, and makes the tissue to be healthier and to be better. So the issue is, how can we do that? Can we replace the corneal stroma and Bowman's layers by any means? Is corneal regeneration feasible with minimal invasive procedures? This is what was the target. And then we started this study of corneal bioengineering, which is not that recent, because we started with a doctorate thesis of Dr. Arna Rich and Dr. Leo del Barrio, and we based our development of the clinical applications based on this basic research that was performed with them. And then we started in Lebanon and studied, in which we were a translation. It was a translational application of the basic knowledge to the clinical basic work, was monitored by Mrs. Mona Al-Sarif. So the stage one was the experimental animal model, in which we used autologous stem cells, human stem cells, to produce corneal collagen in situ. We had the idea to identify which was the best carrier for the cells, and we did experimental studies in which we could use this type of carriers and also stem cells in order to produce new human new collagen. And then with this knowledge we changed to stage 2, in which we try to convert the experience to the human patient. So structural engineering is indeed one of the most important topics today in the human surgery. We have an application of the engineering methods in which we can try to find an alternative to classical corneal transplantation in order to generate new tissue, in this case the corneal stroma. Corneal stroma has an anatomy that is not easy to reproduce by ex vivo methods. All the methods that have been proposed to create collagen similar to the cornea has failed, because the collagen that is produced by engineering ex vivo is not of the quality, and it has no fibers as we have in the normal corneal stroma. So the idea is to replace the corneal stroma. The corneal epithelium and the endothelium are normal in keratoconus, so how to replace the corneal stroma in an efficient way? We have obviously the keratocytes, which are the cells which are created the collagen, and are the ones that are abnormal in keratoconus, and these abnormal keratocytes are the reason to create abnormal collagen that finally ends in the disruption of bulbar membrane and the deterioration of the eye. Parallel to this, there's a disruption in the geometry and the distribution of the collagen fibers that appears in the cornea, that are very elegantly distributed, and according to the wave of the light, they are transparent due to the very fine organization of these fibers. So the experimental model was used in order to identify the possibility of these cells to work. I'm talking about human stem cells implanted in the rabbit model, which sounds unusual, but we wanted to know whether human collagen was going to be produced, or was capable to be produced in the rabbit cornea, which could make a complete demonstration about that were the human cells, the ones producing the cornea, not the rabbit cells stimulated by the surgery. Then we had in parallel to the study of the carriers that were taken to make the cells into the cornea, and in order to increase the thickness of the cornea as well. Among the different types of stem cells, we use multipotential adipose derived cells. These multipotential cells from the adipose tissue are multipotential in nature. They are very good because there has been evidence that demonstrates that they can develop into keratocytes in vitro and in vivo. They have this differentiation demonstrated and confirmed in different papers, and indeed they can be autologous because the fat is present in everyone's human being. We have a multipotent differentiation capability, we have immunomodulatory properties, and it requires only a subcutaneous adipose tissue by elective liposuction, what makes these cells to be easy to obtain in a non-dangerous way for the patient at all. And they are highly efficient and when implanted in other organs of the body. So we have three possible approaches. First, to inject the stem cells alone inside the cornea, or to create an intradermal implantation of the stem cells together with a biodegradable scaffold, or to use other type of scaffolds that were artificial, non-biodegradable, that could be there. Intradermal implantation finally was tried with a corneal stroma tissue with no cells. That means the tissue, human tissue, but deprived from cells, which is not considered to be a graft. It's just a tissue, a corneal tissue, which is with no biological activity. These experiments were performed in the albino rabbit model and were performed directly by me, by Dr. Annalise and Dr. Ariel del Barrio, and were performed experimentally in their PhD studies. We could demonstrate in the first stage of the study, in which injection of stem cells were performed alone, that the human adipose cells differentiated in vivo into adult human keratocytes. There was no immune reaction, and there was the formation of the collagen extramacular matrix. We were, from that moment, sure that the mesenchymal human cells were capable to produce human collagen in the rabbit cornea, dissipating any question mark about the origin of this collagen. It was not the rabbit, because immunohistochemistry demonstrated clearly that we were dealing with human collagen in the rabbit cornea. It was published in different papers in stem cells and was a very important scientific hit because we had for the first time this evidence in the history. The restoration of the corneal transparency with these cells was also studied, and we have to consider that the phagocytic keratosis of these cells, that in the way in which they are being transformed into keratocytes, are capable to eliminate scars, creating new collagen tissue well organized to restore the transparency of the cornea. And this was demonstrated by different authors in the experimental animal model. That means that we have cells that not only produce collagen, which is transparent, but they can be therapeutic for the purpose of making some corneal opacities to disappear. This was demonstrated in the mice model. So all this evidence led to the obvious presence of collagen, but this collagen, you will see later in the human study, was in a very slow rate production and was not adequate, not efficient to restore losses of tissue that were typically keratoconus. So we could have this injection of cells in cases in which we have not a very thin tissue, or we want to avoid the progression of keratoconus as a potential therapeutic approach. Any type of corneal dystrophy could be treatable as well, because the injection of these cells could make these opacities to disappear, which opens the possibility of a new application, not only keratoconus, but in corneal dystrophies and also in corneal leukomas that are caused by different reasons. So the scaffolds to carry the cells were the second stage of the study. Once that the induction of mesenchymal cells into keratocytes was demonstrated in the human model. Jorge and the Barrio used different scaffolds, biodegradable, degradable, and finally it was demonstrated that the best carrier was the human collagen cornea. The human cornea is laminated into 120 microns or thinner, if necessary, laminas. All the cells are made to disappear by a washing process, and so we have not a graft, we have just collagen tissue alone, with no cells, not biologically active, but capable to restore the things of the cornea. The use of non-biodegradable scaffolds, derived from plastics and other substances, reveal not to be that efficient and not of the quality of the human collagen deprived from cells for the purpose. So we decided to use, following these experiments that are published in different papers, to use only the cellular stroma as the carriers of the stem cells. So as you see in the diagram, we have the initial tissue with no cells, and then we are repopulating this lamina with stem cells of adipose tissue of the same patient. That means to make this tissue biologically active, but humanized for the purpose in a customized way for the same patient, because the cells that are colonizing are their own mesenchymal cells. This was published, as you see in the experimental research, and it was clearly known that we could have not only a biologically active tissue, but biologically active cells that produce for the collagen. So there was an increase in the thickness related to the lamina and an increase in the quality of this tissue by the production of new collagen. And with this evidence, we went to the clinical trial. There was a company in Lebanon which was interested in our studies, and we made a translational use of these experiences to the study that was registered in clinicaltrials.gov and was led by Mon Al-Sharif, which picture is now in the image. So cell therapy of the keratoconus in a pilot study was now the new clinical stage of this study. We designed an objective clinical a prospective clinical trial in which we use advanced keratoconus stage 4. That means that they had less than 0.3 vascular visual acuity with no scars at the center of that could affect the pupillary axis. But we admitted the cases with opacities that were peripheral. We had one group in which we injected only cells into a pocket created by femtosecond laser in order to study the behavior of these cells in a therapeutic way in this process. And this is the team that was in Lebanon in Revival. Revival is in the Middle East hospital in Beirut, and we have here the biologists, the surgeons, and the administrators involved in the study. I want to thank all of them because they did an excellent job. We were traveling to Beirut frequently, and finally we could replicate the studies in the animals that we did in Spain, in Beirut, in the lab of Revival. So we had as expected outcomes to get a flatter keratometry, improved vision, and the effects should be therapeutic for the patient. The question mark was whether we could have a remodeling of the previous scars of the patient, and whether we could have a better transparency in the long term of the scars that were in the patients that were operated. So in the first group we did intrasomal injection, the second we did intrasomal implantation of the human collagen stroma with no cells, while in the third we used the laminas with autologous mesenchymal cells from the adipose tissue of the same patient. So this was the clinical design. We had this type of case in which we had the cells. Do here how we inject the cells into the pocket with pockets created with femtosecond laser. Well, the same thing like we do in the smile, this pocket. This dissection is 9.5 millimeters. We want to have most of the cornea dissected, and the pocket is made at 50% of the thickness of the thinner corneal area. So that was the things. We inject 3 million of cells, and these 3 million of cells are injected in this pocket and closed only with one stitch. As you see, this surgery takes minutes, and we had a 1 year follow-up of these patients. The results were very interesting because we were initially concerned about the potential of this lamination of the cornea to be negative for the behavior of the patient. It was not the case because, as you see, all the cases improved at 1 month, and this improvement cannot be done by the cells because the cells takes longer to establish their biology and to produce collagen. Simply talking, because dissecting the tissue dislocates partially the lamina, the cornea, creating a better allocation of the cornea. This is our opinion, but clearly the experience was not negative for the patient, but was therapeutic initially, okay? And followed by this, we created that plateau. But look here, in the best created visual acuity with rigid contact lens, that there was a constant trend towards improvement. So there is an early improvement followed by a late improvement, which indeed this late improvement needs to be caused obviously by the cells. The topography was stable. As you see, we did not have, according to these graphics, changes were significant at all in terms of the keratometry. There was a cornea thickness that was stable and increasing with time, and the thinnest point was stable, and the corneal volume was increasing. So we had, as a consequence, 1 year and the 6-month data, an increase in the volume with no changes in the corneal topography in terms of keratometry. here you have the most important finding of the study. And you see here in the graphic with the OCT, which is in colors, we could identify a lower tissue that as a mean was 16 microns at 6 months. So we had the appearance of new collagen in this pocket, and this not only this was evident in the OCT, but in the confocal microscopy, there was a clear increase in the cell density that was happening at this time at 6 months. And this at 6 months, the trend of the cells that initially were rounded was to become fusiform. That means that they were first transformed into fibroblasts, and then later on they looked like normal keratocytes. These findings were published in Cornea last year, and were the first demonstration that stem cells could be of therapeutic value for the purpose of cornea surgery. The second, so we could demonstrate first in this group 1 that the transplantation of autologous cells to the human cornea in a femtosecond laser-operated pocket is safe, that these cells survive in the human cornea and produce an increase in the corneal stroma, and the cells differentiate into adult keratocytes with the same morphology that they have in adult stages. So we have encouraging preliminary results with a modest improvement in visual parameters and a dolphin improvement in thickness parameters, because 16 microns indeed is not of clinical value at 6 months, but we don't know yet how long this progression of new collagen can have and how much new corneal tissue can be produced. So now we move into the use of the solarized laminas, because obviously in the thin cornea we need a sharp and quick increase in the thickness, followed by this progressive improvement added by the collagen, but it is not enough, only the collagen produced by the stem cells, to be of therapeutic value to conus. So we use, in this case, laminas with no cells implanted in the human cornea. Look here how we are dissecting the pocket, and we are using a lamina with no cells. In the left you have the experimental model. This is a rabbit eye, albino rabbit. While in the right you have the first implantation in one of our patients. It was the first human implantation. Look that the lamina looks moderately opaque because of the edema that is caused by the desolarization process. The lamina is, as you see, 9 millimeters in 9.5 pocket, and we are, as you see, using it in the same technique that we use in experimental animal. That means sliding this lamina into the pocket, expanding it. You see that it's not this difficult. The wrinkles are not appearing. It's remarkable how these laminas are expandable into the pocket, and the surgery took minutes, and we use only one stitch in order to secure the entrance of this lamina. So look here how we are finishing the expansion of the lamina in this case, and this was the end of the experience. We have in this case included keratoconus with very advanced conditions, and we had this lamina implantation followed in the group 3 by the injection of the cells. So when in group 2 we use only laminas with no cells, in group 3 we had laminas with cells colonizing the surface, and the cells were also injected in the pocket at the moment of the implantation. This is the results in the group in which we implanted only the lamina. We had an improvement in cholesterol-distant visual acuity. We had a very contact lens improvement after 1 month, and we have a variable refractive outcome with a stable cylinder following 1 month. So we had an initial worsening of vision because of the transparency of the lamina was suboptimal at the beginning, but later on it became transparent. You will see in the pictures later on, and then the improvement was happening basically because the cornea was thicker and because we had a more stable condition. Look here how the central thickness was increased exactly 100 microns, the things that we added into the lamina. There were no complications at any level, and there was a gain in transparency that was progressive. You see here how was the lamina just the next day after the surgery, and look here that these laminas with no cells at all in the confocal microscopy. But look here how from the pre-op to the post-op we had at 1 day and 6 months a clear cornea. In this 6 months you can see like a contact lens, but it's an intrastromal corneal lamina with no cells, a clear cornea. And you see in the OCT that this clear cornea is creating an increase in the thickness, and in biomicroscopy you see that we have no opacity at the visual axis. Look here as well how we have increased this cornea to 600 microns thanks to that addition in the tissue that we have. And remember, these cells, these corneas laminas were with no cells. Changes in the topography were toward flattening, and we could observe that following 6 months it was an invasion of cells in the lamina. So the lamina was implanted with no cells, but after 6 months we could see that were cells that obviously were keratocized from the same patient colonizing this lamina, which is remarkable. See here after 6 months how we have this lamina colonized by cells that were only coming from the same patient. In group 3 we have the lamina with cells. This is shown to lead to a much more biologically activated tissue, and one day the corneas were much more transparent. The transparency of these corneas were achieved faster. We have an improvement in the uncorrected visual acuity, in corrected for distance, and especially corrected for distance vision with the contact lenses. So following this initial decay that was observed in the previous group 2, we had an increase and continuous increase in the visual parameters. The sphere saw a decrease after 1 month, and the cylinder was stable. And there were no differences concerning the keratometry, refraction, and any topographical change between the two groups. The cornea thickness was increased, as it happened in the group 2, significantly, as much as the tissue thickness was increased, and we observed a trend towards an improvement with time. Spherical aberration was in this group and in the previous one, in the laminas with no cells, improved both for the coma and the total high-grade aberrations, and in confocal microscopy we had the evidence of retrocession and 6 months, as is happening in the corneas with no cells. So, remarkably, in the laminas that were implanted with no cells, there was an invasion of keratocytes, and in these cases with the cells, there was also a colonization of these cells that were with the appearance of keratocytes, even at a much more larger amount. So, again, the transplantation of laminas with cells, it was safe. We had no complications. Remarkably, we had about the same clinical outcomes in the group with cells and without cells but lamina, what means that we have probably the same behavior after 6 months and even 1 year, because we have 1 year data, and we cannot say if this will be with time the same, because with time it might be that the corneas that were with cells can lead to a much more adequate and better outcome. These results of the study have been published in the journal, in American Journal of Ophthalmology in early 2018, in January, so you have access to this online. So the 1 year outcomes, because this is 6 months, that what happened after 1 year corneal transfer is very good, and some corneal scars that were formerly present in the patient are improving. The visual condition improved in most cases, especially with contact lenses. The keratometry and cornea thickness is stable, and the confocal microscopy shows significant increase in cells in all groups with no complications. This is in group 1. This is the evolution of the vision in decimal scale from, in log mark from pre-op to post-op. As you see, we have improvement in all the parameters that is modest but existing. These are the results in group 2, and these are the results in group 3, which are similar to the ones observed in the group 2, which means that with laminas with or without cells lead to the same visual outcome. Look here, one of the patients after 12 months. You can see here in the group 1 in which cells were injected that you see nothing. You see absolutely nothing. The cornea looks totally transparent. This is from pre-op to 12 months, in which you can see that opacities that were present in the left slides in the parapupillar area are much less evident after 12 months. So these scars are suffering a remodeling, an improvement, and corneal transparency is partially recovered, which is remarkable. This is one case pre-op at 1 year as well. This is another case in which we had an opacity in the paraxial area. Look here that this is not existing at all after 12 months, and the presence of the lamina, which is transparent, is clearly visible over there. This is another case in which we have with a lamina with cells, in which we had a perfectly transparent cornea after 12 months, and after 12 months the issues that we have, all visual parameters improve even that modestly, uncorrected better corrected visual acuity and really contactless visual acuity, and especially no patient got worse. We have submitted this data to the American Ophthalmological Society, and that is under review and is very long. The summary, corneal stroma encasement-based cell therapy is possible. This is a new type of corneal surgery and the beginning of a new approach for the treatment of corneal stroma diseases such as keratoconus and other corneal dystrophies. Our pioneer work and reports published require further long-time observation. This is just preliminary. We are repeating this experience now, and indeed this is most important. The adipose stem cells show to be an excellent option for this new therapeutic surgical approach. They are autologous, they are obtained by liposuction, they have no immunological risk, and they behave excellent on the human cornea. And at this moment, as I mentioned to you, we have the sponsor of the Spanish government with a multi-central clinical trial that is starting now in order to further consolidate this knowledge and to increase our experience in this new type of surgery that can change totally the surgery of the corneal stroma, making corneal graft not necessary. I thank you very much for your kind attention, and I hope that we can be very soon making these surgeries again, this time in Egypt in one of your universities, because there will have different contexts in which probably will end in the application of this therapy in Egypt along later this year or early next one. Thank you very much for your very kind attention.
Thank you, Professor Elio. As usual, new techniques for keratoconus is always from Professor Corcalio. Thank you very much. So, can we expect that this new technology will replace keratoplasty soon for advanced keratoconus?
Well, I think that if this is again repeated and is replicated and we have these outcomes, we shall have in early keratoconus the injection of cells, because it's obvious that we have a cell problem in these patients. In patients with thin corneas in which you have loss of vision, probably the lamina is the solution. Lamina with cells for sure would be better than without cells. And the surprising issue is that these laminas are recolonized by the keratocytes of the patient. So this is why we need to repeat the experience again with or without cells, because it might be that just the lenticle with no cells is of a therapeutic value for keratoconus. If this is the case, it's even simpler. But this is not corneal transplantation, my friend. This is just a tissue with no cells. So you don't need permissions to get corneal graft. You can do it on an ambulatory basis. You need only the femtosecond laser, manually talking. You can do it, but the precision and the smoothness of the femtosecond dissection should be, in my opinion, clearly make the femtosecond to be the elective technique, but manual dissection could be feasible. And indeed, the corneal transplantation, which is at this moment performed without, will be no longer possible, necessary. Would be at corneal increase in thickness based on the use of laminas, which is a corneal encasement surgery. Corneal encasement surgery, corneal bioengineering, corneal therapy, if we have with cell therapy, different modalities can emerge in the future.
Question from audience, please.
Yes, Professor, I have two questions regarding this magic cell, the adipose pluripotent cells. Is it tissue specific? I mean that if you put it in the stroma, it produces stroma. If you put it on the epithelium, it produces epithelium. And if it is not tissue specific, that we can use it in other disorders of the eye where we need epithelium, we need stroma. This is the first question. The second one is as regards the amount of deposits. Is it through the amount of cells introduced into that pocket? The more stroma and collagen you need, inject?
Well, answer to your first question, these cells are mesenchymal, multipotential cells, and are tissue specific as far as you inject in that tissue cells. Let me explain to you. You use in the teeth, in the dentine, they produce the local tissue, the local collagen for the purpose of the dentine replacement. If you use them in the muscle, they will replicate collagen for the muscle. If you inject them on the cornea, they replicate corneal tissue of the cornea. So yes, they are tissue specific as far as they differentiate due to local influences. The type of tissue that is in the surround is what they are injecting. Answering to your second question, we injected 3 million of cells as a protocol, but we have no knowledge about how many of them remain in the pocket, because as you could see in the images, we have some reflux. Let me show to you again this video. And this reflux of cells is something that obviously is created by the space, because we have a space that is a pocket. In this pocket we have a condition in which volume is not possible to be kept just by fluids. So part of the rest of the cells were evacuated by reflux. How many of them remain? We don't know, but they were enough, number one, to be present for the whole experience in a high number. Number two, to differentiate into fusiform keratocity cells. And number three, capable to increase at 6 months 16 microns the cornea. So the corneal collagen was created ex novo from these cells, and the number is indeed ignored. About the cells that were injected or colonized in the laminas, they were about the same amount, even that the cells were in the surface of the laminas. So the cells were not inside the laminas, were in the surface, and they were expected to invade the laminas later on. The method is that you perform liposuction in a given day. 7 days later, you have already the cells expanded in a number that can be injected, and then you planify the injection of the cells, or you cultivate for 2 days the laminas with the cells. This harvesting of the lamina is very important, because can fail if you don't manage the cells properly, because they can induce the development of collagenase that can digest the lamina. So we had some problems at the beginning. So it's not just to put cells on laminas. You need a biological process. You need a cell biologist working with this in order to adjust the colonization of the cells of the surface.
On behalf of Upper Egypt Ophthalmology Congress and my ophthalmology department in Mania University, I thank you very much, Professor Aliot. I invite you to visit our city, Mania, in your next visit to Egypt. I know you are interested in Egyptian monuments, and we have a lot of it in Mania. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it will be my pleasure, Ahmed, and be sure that I will be there. Okay, I will be there, if possible, in physical presence, not electronically, because we need to use these new ways to communicate in order to exchange opinions, to exchange techniques. We are in a global world. Distances are no longer a barrier for us in science. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And of course, I missed you. And to be present there is different, but at least we could stimulate your imagination about what is coming new, and how we can make a better use of lenses probably in the future to restore accommodation, and how can we develop new type of cornea surgery in the future in the benefit of many patients affected by corneal disease. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we start the posterior segment considerations in anterior segment surgery symposium, Professor Ahmed Khallaf symposium. I would like to ask Professor Yasser Siraj to come to Professor Mahmoud Ginedi and Professor Omar Mohammed Ali.
عشان بس لا اصل الناس يعني بيقول لك ده ما يعرفوش ان انا ليا هدف معين في العلم، عايز ابقى بسيط ولا عايز مسطره. يعني النهارده الصبح قبل ما يبتدي ربع ساعه بتسال الناس ولا حاجه ربع ساعه استنى عايز تعرف حاجه انا هعمل انا حاسس ان هو بحاول اطلع او اتبع بقى بس الصحه تساعد يعني الصحه تساعد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أنا مرة ثانية بشكر دكتور خالد مراد والدكتور حسام الزنبيلي على دعوتي للاشتراك في المؤتمر الجميل بتاع جامعات الصعيد. والحقيقة يعني احنا استفدنا كتير من كل البرزنتيشنز اللي اتقالت في المؤتمر. وفاضل بقى البوستيريور سيجمنت. هنبتدي السيشن بتاعت البروفيسور دكتور احمد خلاف، وندعو الدكتور محمود شاهين فيوم يونيفرسيتي، هيتكلم على البوست كاتاراكت اندوفتالمايتس the role of the early vitrectomy surgery.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اشكر الاورجنايزنج كوميتي على دعوتنا. ودي يمكن المره الاولى اللي تبقى جامعه الفيوم ممثله مع شمال الصعيد في المؤتمر. ان شاء الله هنتكلم عن البوست كاتراكت اندوفثالمايتس رول اوف ايرلي vitrectomy. Endophthalmitis is a virulent inflammation of the intraocular fluids. Progressive vitritis is a hallmark of any form of endophthalmitis. Histologically, endophthalmitis is a massive infiltration of the vitreous cavity with inflammatory cells. Types, we have exogenous endophthalmitis and endogenous. Exogenous, we have post-cataract, traumatic, filtering bleb associated and after intravitreal injection. The most common form is post-cataract with variable incidence according to presence or absence of complications, rate increasing since clear corneal incision, highest risk after secondary IOL, and lowest after thesis combined with varsiplanar vitrectomy, as the vitreous act as a culture medium for microorganisms. Presentation accordingly, endophthalmitis vitrectomy study and the ESCARS study, common symptoms, red eye, ocular discharge, blurring of vision, and pain. Common signs, decreased visual acuity, late swelling, conjunctival and corneal edema, anterior chamber cells, fibrin, hypopyon, vitreous infiltration, and if we have chance for fundus view, we can see retinitis and retinal periphlebitis, which is an early sign. Here is a case we can see the discharge, injection, corneal edema. The ultrasound is mandatory in cases suspected to be endophthalmitis. In ultrasound, we have dispersed vitreous opacity, chorioretinal thickening, and it is important to rule out dislocated lens or retained foreign body, which may be a differential diagnosis for the case of endophthalmitis. Also, presence of retinal or choroidal detachment are prognostic factors. Here, the comparison between presentation in endophthalmitis vitrectomy study and in ESCARS study, we have blurred vision, pain, swollen eyelids, hypopyon, red eye, and media haze. But what is important here, in the two studies, 1/4 of the case were painless at presentation. Time of presentation in the two studies, most cases the presentation can في first week. Risk factors, as we know, vitreous loss may increase the risk factor of endophthalmitis about 10-fold. Delayed wound healing as in diabetic patient, and the preoperative inflammation as blepharitis is a major risk factor for infection. المانجمنت ان endophthalmitis واسكارز ستادي. في الاندوفثالمايتس ستادي الستادي كوندكتد في بدايه التسعينات حوالي 420 عيان بوست كاتراكت اند بوست سكندري اي اول امبلانتيشن، وكانت الخلاصه ان السيستميك انتي بايوتيك مالوش رول، بالعكس احنا لو قللنا السيستميك انتي بايوتيك هيقلل التوكسيك افكت والكوست واللينس اوف هوسبيتال ستاي. الرول بتاع الاميديات فيتريكتومي از نوت نيسيسري ان بيشنت وذ بيتر ذان لايت بيرسبشن فيجن اند برزنتيشن، لكن كانت الاهميه في العيانين البريزنتد ببرسبشن اوف لايت فيجن. لكن صراحه هي الاستادي بقى لها 25 سنه. everything in vitreoretinal surgery has been changed since endophthalmitis vitrectomy study. الماشين داينامكس اند فلويدكس، الفيوينج سيستم، الاندو illumination، الانسترومنتيشن، even الانتيبيوتكس. We have the fourth generation quinolones which has the ability to penetrate the blood retinal barrier. So in اسكارز ستادي في 2013 كان الجولد ستاندرد if you have a case of endophthalmitis and you have a vitreoretinal surgeon and well equipment and instrumentation go directly for vitrectomy and sampling. زي الانترافيترال انتيبيوتيك وبوست اوبرتيف انتيبيوتيك والسيستميك انتيبيوتيك بوست اوبرتيف يفضل انها تبقى نفس الكاتيجوري زي الانترافيترال انتيبيوتيك. If you don't have the vitreoretinal surgeon you can have the silver standard which is sampling the intravitreal antibiotic. Here the few cases كان في الفيوم University Hospital we have 6 cases over 6 months, 2 male 4 females, 5 cases post cataract, 4 منهم كانوا complicated ب posterior capsule rupture, 4 cases presented in third day and 2 cases in day 10. All cases had hand motion vision at presentation. Barciplana vitrectomy was conducted in 5 cases. All cases that has barciplana vitrectomy showed visual improvement and one case reached 6/24 vision. One case didn't have barciplana vitrectomy, the case complicated with panophthalmitis. Special consideration vitrectomy for endophthalmitis, and here I'm sharing the experience of my professor, Professor Amr Azab. Tissue are friable. Take sample first. How to take sample first? Before, after insertion of the cannula and before turning the infusion, we connect the aspiration line of the vitrectomy cutter to 3 milli or 5 milli syringe and mechanically aspirate part in the vitreous before turning the infusion to avoid dilution of the vitreous content. No trial for BVD. We do minimal shaving. Silicone oil is controversial. Some cases we left in air and other on silicone. We bought antibiotics, Vanco and Forta and Decadron in the fluid, and here we have what's called HORF. The new incidence hemorrhagic occlusive vasculitis بيحصل مع الفانكومايسين، لكن هو بيبقى نوع من الالرجي او مش مع كل الحالات ولا مرتبط بالدوز. النقطة الثانية don't expect improvement in the first 24 hours after vitrectomy، بالعكس ممكن يبقى في رياكشن في السكند دي اكتر من الاول، الامبروفمنت يبقى ديلايد. الحاجة الثانية والأخيرة ودي المهمة don't expect positive culture results. في ال6 حالات اللي احنا عملناهم one case only اللي كان فيها positive culture result، وبقية الحالات كانت نيجاتيف كالتشر على الرغم من وجود الممبرينز وكل الساينز بتاع الاندوثالمايتس. هنا دي حالة سودوفيكيك في هايبوبيوم موجود. insertion للتروكال كانيولا سيستم. في البداية طبعا الفيو very hazy. started the vitrectomy upper nasal till I see part of the retina or retinal blood vessels, then I go posterior more. With the time the view get clearer, and you can notice here about the end of the surgery we have almost normal view. We left the case on air. Another case, a phakic patient. Started first with clearing the pupillary area. core vitrectomy. We don't try to induce BVD. نكمل. Shaving, minimal shaving as possible. كان نوت هير membranes الموجودة في البريفري، مع ذلك الكالتشر كانت طالعة نيجاتيف. وفي الآخر اير فلويد اكسشينج والعيان اتساب على سلام. بعض البوست اوبرتيف results here the anterior segment is completely normal. Can notice here posterior blepharitis which may be a risk factor for the development of endophthalmitis in this case. Posterior segment, here another case, anterior segment, the patient was left affected and we did inferior PI because we left the patient on silicone. Posterior segment almost clear, we can see the reflection of silicone oil. A take-home message, early diagnosis and the proper management of endophthalmitis can shift the prognosis from this scenario to this scenario. Thank you.
بس في نقطتين يا دكتور محروس كده. الهورف does not occur with vitreous or intravitreous or intravitreal vancomycin. HORV occurs with intracameral vancomycin، وده الحاجة اللي هي الغريبة جدا اللي هم اكتشفوها، ان انا لما بدي intravitreal vancomycin ما بيحصلش HORV خالص، يحصل مع الانتراكاميرال vancomycin. الحاجة الثانية طبعا حاجة جميلة جدا ان حضرتك اتكلمت على الاندوفثالمايتس فيتريكتومي ستادي، الاستادي اللي هي دمرت عيون البشر من التسعينات لحد دلوقتي، عشان لازم حضرتك تستنى لما يبقى العيان PL عشان اعمل له فيتريكتومي، وده طبعا يعني ابسولوتلي كونترا انديكيتد دلوقتي. حضرتك انترافيتريال انجكشن دي بتستعملها as a preparation for early vitrectomy. early vitrectomy في الوقت الحالي هو المين مانجمنت اوف اندوفثالمايتس، سبيشالي انت حضرتك بتشيل الدبرز، بتشيل الاورجانيزمز الكواجولم اللي موجود، بتكلير الفيترس، المانيفستيشنز اللي هي بتفضل ايفن حضرتك لما تحقن انترافيتريال ويحصل كواجولم ولور فيترس وباستيز، دي ما بتروحش خالص مع الانترافيتريال. ممكن العيان يتحسن ويشوف كويس، بس انت عملت سبريشن للانفلاميشن، انما ما شلتش الايه الراديكيشن للفيترس اللي موجود فيه، وممكن يحصل ريكارنس. ده فيري يعني وارد جدا ان هو يحصل الكلام ده. فالايرلي فيتريكتومي هو ترو مانجمنت فور بوست اوبرتيف اندوفثالمايتس. البورف اللي هو هيموراجيك انوسيف ريتينال فاسكولايتس، ده اللي هو ما بيحصلش مع الانترافيتريال خالص. Intravitreal is a preparation for vitrectomy. Early vitrectomy will be good results for management of endophthalmitis. فانت دايما الايم بتاع حضرتك انك انت تعمل early vitrectomy، لان حضرتك امتى ادي انترافيتريال بس؟ يبقى لما يكون ما عنديش فيترو ريتينال سيرجن انا بدي انترافيتريال وبعمل از ان ايرلي فيرست ايد تريتمنت اند ريفير ات تو ذا فيترس. لو الجامعه بتاعتي ما فيهاش جهاز ما فيهاش ناس، او في اي مستشفى بدي له فيرست ايد تريتمنت واحوله لمكان يعمل له فيتريكتومي. طبعا حضرتك حتى ايفن انت ممكن النهارده بتستقبل حاله بالليل او في النبطشيه، بتدي له انترافيتريال وبريبير فور فيتريكتومي نكست داي. لو العيان ده دايابيتك هيقعد يومين ثلاثه، انت عايز تعمل له كنترول للدايابيتس، للهايبرتنشن، للكاردياك بروبلمز، عايز تعمل له بريباريشن، يبقى تدي له برضه انترافيتريال وويت ثاني يوم تعمل له الفيتريكتومي بتاعه، لان هو ده المين مانجمنت دلوقتي. والحاجه الثانيه ان في ستاديز كتير، في ستاديز طبعا، بس هي عيبها انها ما هياش زي الاندوفسالمايتس فيتريكتومي ستادي دي مالتي سنتر ترايل ستادي وعلى لارج سكيل اوف بيشنتس. في ستاديز اسمها ايرلي فيتريكتومي ستادي. الايرلي فيتريكتومي ستادي دي في 2017 بس كان ليميتد نمبر اوف بيشنتس. الفيجوال بروجنوزس في الاندوفسالمايتس فيتريكتومي ستادي كانت مطلعه الريزلت بتاعت او الفيجوال امبروفمنت اوف 2040 اور مور. كانت مطلعه ان الانترافيتريال انجكشن والفيتريكتومي الاثنين تقريبا ذا سيم، حوالي 50% 47% و50% امبروفمنت للعيانين اللي يوصلوا 2040 اور مور. الاستادي اللي معموله في الايرلي فيتريكتومي مطلعه ان الامبروفمنت 91% ان العيانين يوصلوا ل 2040 اور مور لو انا عملت له ايرلي فيتريكتومي.
هو المسج عشان احنا بنشوف الحالات دي كتير مع زمايلنا الانتور سيجمنت، ما تقعدش تدي سب كونجكتيفال كتير وبعدين بعد 5 ايام تبعت الحاله. احنا بنلاقي حاجتين في منتهى الاهميه بالنسبه لنا. المشكله الكورنيال افكشن بيبتدي يشتغل البوستيرور من كورنيال امبيرمنت. الحاجه الثانيه انت بتسيب لحد ما يوصل للريتنا. لما نيجي نشتغل على الحته دي الريتنا لما تبقى توكسيك بروفيت، فلما تبقى الدنيا لا الامور بالنسبه لنا احنا اسهل والنتيجه بتاع العيان بتاعك تبقى اسهل. فبليز مجرد انك تبقى في سسبشس اندوفسالمايتس ريفير على طول وتبقى احسن للعيان ولحضرتك.
حضرتك في محاضره دكتور حسام هيقول الابديتس في الاندوفسالمايتس، ممكن تلاقي الانسر على السؤال ده. لو ما فيش اجابه هقول لك الاجابه.
From the point of retinal surgeon اتكلمنا دكتور محمد فاروق عن management of different scenarios with cataract surgery.
دكتور ياسر، انا شفت حالات غرز بعد الفيتريكتومي وكان على انفيوجن، كان السيرجن حاطط بانكومايسين. الفيتريكتومي كان محطوط بانكومايسين على
It is not recorded in the literature. ده انت تعملها بيبر تكسر الدنيا.
حصلت معايا في حاله، واحد زماني حصلت معايا في حالتين.
انا بقول لحضرتك
حصلت معايا كمان، حصلت معايا حاله. فهي بتحصل.
حضرتك بتعمل كونسنتريشن ايه؟
انا احط على المحل 500 مثلا، حوالي سم محله على 10 واحط سم على الدوت ال 500.
It is not recorded in the literature. It is written in the literature that it does not occur with with intravitreal. It is recorded with intracameral only. This is written in the literature. So if you have cases, you should record and report. Only vitrectomy? You have to report this case.
بعدين يعني انا كنت سالت اعتقد الدكتور محمود سليمان، فقال لي انه شاف حاله زي كده وحصلت معاه.
It is not recorded in the literature. You search for it in the literature. It is not recorded.
واعتقد الامريكان اكاديمي عامله سايت ان اي دكتور فيتريتنا يحصل معاه حاجه زي كده يريبورت.
You have to report. This should be reported because the ESCARs have a lot of cases with HORF, and it has a recommendation for prevention of this entity and for management. Recommendation for management and prevention of HORF, and it is not recorded for intravitreal vancomycin that the HORF that occurs with it. So you have to report.
هو الهورف نوع من اعتقد ان هو الايديوسبيكرنس للدراج، فما لهاش رول يعني يحصل مع انترا كاميرا او انترافيتريال، فمجرد
لحد دلوقتي
هم نوع من الايديوسبيكرنس.
هو حضرتك لا هو حضرتك لحد دلوقتي هم مش عارفين ايه الكوز بتاعه. والحاجه الثانيه ان هو برضو حاطين differential diagnosis ان هو ممكن يكون it is not related to the drug at all. It is due to viral retinitis, viral occlusive retinitis. It's in the differential diagnosis, and it has a special management that you have to give intravitreal injections. You have to do laser photocoagulation for the peripheral occlusive areas, which is not related to idiosyncrasy. Sometimes you may give corticosteroids, but it is not.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هنتكلم ان شاء الله عن بعض السيناريوز اللي مش لطيفه اللي بتحصل اثناء الفيبرومالسيفيكيشن. معروف ان الكاتراكت سيرجري اكتر عمليه بتتعمل في الاوفثالمولوجي، والريزلتس بتاعت الفيبرومالسيفيكيشن كلها طبعا معروفه كويسه، لكن احنا كجراحين في وقت للتاني بتحصل معانا حاجات مش لطيفه اثناء العمليه. عشان نقلل الحاجات المش لطيفه دي لازم تعمل كيرفول بري اوبرتيف ايفالويشن للحاله، عشان خاطر لو حسيت الحاله دي ممكن تحصل فيها حاجه مش طبيعيه تبقى مجهز نفسك. طب هاو تو بريفنت ذيس كومبليكيشنز؟ اول حاجه انت تفحص العيان كويس قبل العمليه، وعرفت ان العيان ده ممكن يحصل في مثلا سبلكسيشن، فوكيشن، العيان ده نورمال بلاد بريشر، العيان ده نورمال سودو اكسبيليشن، وانت ما عندكش الامكانيات او الخبره انك تعمل الحاله، يبقى من الاول دي ريفير ذا كيس. الحاجه الثانيه انت قررت انك تعمل الحاله، لازم يكون عندك سبيشال تول، يعني يكون عندك ايرس هوكس، عندك ستين، عندك اوبرتيف ابينفرين، عندك سي تي ار، عندك سيت اب بتاع انتيرو فيتريكتومي. طيب دايما يكون عندك واخد بالك باك اب لينز، يعني انت ما تعتمدش انك عندك وان بيس فولدبل اي او ال وخلاص، لازم يكون عندك باك اب لينز في حاله ان الحاله دي هتبقى كومبليكيتد. الحاجه الثانيه في حاجه وارنينج ساينز، الوارنينج ساينز لما بتحصل بتقول لك ان انت خلاص داخل في كومبليكيشن. دي الوارنينج ساينز دي لازم تاخد بالك منها. اخيرا لازم تعرف امتى تقف، يعني نفرض الانتيرو سيجمنت سيرجن والنيوكليس وقعت منك، خلاص انت بتقفل الحاله وبترفير. الانت اوبراتيف انبليزنت سيناريوز ممكن تكون حاجات ريليتد انسيجن، ممكن يحصل انجري للكورنيا والايرس، ممكن حاجات خاصه بالكابسولوريكسس، ممكن يحصل رابشر في السيرو كبسول، ممكن يحصل جونيور ديهيزنز وفيتراس لوس، ممكن تحصل دروب للنيوكليس، واخيرا السوبرا كرويدال هيموريج. الكورنيال ابريجن دي ممكن تحصل اثناء انت وانت بتركب السبيكولم، وانت بتركب السبيكولم والتراب بيعدي فوق الكورنيا ممكن يعمل كورنيال ابريجن. طب مشكلته ايه؟ الكورنيال ابريجن ده لو سنترال وكبير وجاي في الفيجوال اكسس ممكن يضايقك في الفيو. ساعتها بتحط فيسكو الاستيك او مسال سيلولوز على الكورنيا، غالبا الفيو بيتحسن، لكن احيانا بيبقى الفيو برضه مش كويس، فتضطر انك تعمل سنترال برايمنج للكورنيال ابسيلم عشان تقدر تشوف. وفي الاخر طبعا لازم تحط سوفت كونتاكت لينس. طيب بالونينج الكونجكتيفا، انت لو انت بتعمل الوند بتاعك دخلت بوستيرو شويه وعملت انجري للايدج بتاع الكونجكتيفا في الاتاتشمنت بتاعه للليمبس، هتلاقي الفلويد يدخل تحت الكونجكتيفا، يحصل بالونينج الكونجكتيفا، هتكون النتيجه ايه؟ ان العين كلها تتملي فلويد، يحصل ريفليكشنز جامده ما تبقاش شايف. ساعتها بتعمل انسيجن في الكونجكتيفا عشان الفلويد ده يطلع لبره، وممكن تعمل ميلكينج للكونجكتيفا وتعمل ريسيشن الكونجكتيفا لورا وتكمل الحاله بتاعتك. الوند بيرن مع الموديوليشنز اللي حصلت في السوفت وير بتاعت الفيكون، الويند بيرن ما بنشوفوش كتير، ولكن الويند بيرن ده بيحصل في حالات الفيري هارد كاتراكت لما بتيجي النيوكلير بيس تقفل الفيكوتيب، تقفل الفيكوتيب فبتعمل اوبستراكشن فيها، فما بيحصلش اسبيريشن فلويد من الاي، فما بيدخلش فلويد جديد، بيحصل هيت اب، خد بالك الهيت بترتفع فيحصل كورنيال بيرن. الكورنيال بيرن حاجه مش كويسه لان ممكن يعمل خد بالك جابنج او فيش ماوسنج في الوند، فبيعمل استجماتيزم عالي. حتى انت عشان تيجي تقفل الوند في الاخر بسويتشر، سويتشر واحد ممكن ما يكفيش، تضطر تاخد كذا ستيتش عشان تقفل الوند ده. طيب ايه الورنينج سينز اللي تقول لك ان انت ممكن تدخل في بيرن؟ لما تلاقي ان انت وانت ماسك النيوكلير بيس جوه انسايد ذا انتيور تشامبر تلاقي الفيكو تبقى بتدخن بتبخر تطلع سموك، ده معناها ان هي كده اكلودد ما بتسحبش. الحاجه الثانيه انت لو بصيت على الاسبيريشن تيوب هتلاقي الفلويد مش ماشي فيها، يبقى كده حصل اكلوجن ومحصل ممكن يحصل ايه؟ هيت اب في الوند. حاجه زي كده بتطلع الفيكوتيب بتسبكها وتخلي الاسيستنت بتاعك يكتر كميه الفلويد اللي بيرشها على الكورنيا ناحيه الوند عشان يعمل كولينج للكورنيا. وفي الاخر لو حصل فعلا وند بيرن لازم تقفل الوند بستيتش، غالبا بنعوز فيجر في 8 او كذا ستيتش. يعني في الصوره دي ده حصل وند بيرن، فشوف الدكتور قفل العين 4 ستيتشز في وند حوالي 2.5 مللي او 2.8 مللي. ستريبنج البيسمنت ممبر غالبا بيحصل عند الوند، انت في نقطه مهمه ان انت بالنسبه للاند اوفثالمولوجيست انت لما تعمل فيكو، لما تيجي تعمل كابسولاريتس لازم تتاكد ان الانتيريور كبسول شلتها، عشان الانتيريور كبسول دي ممكن تلزق لك في الكورنيا اثناء السيرجري، تبقى انت مش عارف ده انتيريور كبسول ولا ده ديسمنت. طيب لو حصل ان ستريبنج للديسمنت من عند الوند بتدخل من عند الباراسيتيز وتحقن جنتلي بي اس اس، غالبا الفلاب بتاعت الديسمنت بترجع مكانها، بعد كده في الاخر بتحقن اير. لو ما ينفعش المانوفر ده ممكن برضه الباراسيتيز ديسبنسيف فيسكو الاستيك يرجع الديسمنت ممبر لمكانه. وفي الاخر يفضل برضه بعد ما ترجع الديسمنت ممبر تحط لارج اير بابل انك برضه تعمل سوتشرنج للوند. ايرس انجلز. ايرس انجلز دي بتحصل غالبا في حالات النار بيوبل، لما انت تدخل بالفيكو تيب ويلقط الايدج بتاع البيوبل. وانس حصل الكلام ده يحصل شريدنج للايرس، الايرس تطلع كده شراشيب. وفي مقوله بتقول وانس ايرس اولويز ايرس، لو جه مره معاك واديته فيكو باور خلاص بيشرشر فتبقى مشكله، فكل ما تدخل لازم هيجيلك، كل ما تدخل لازم هيجيلك، وممكن تنتهي بالمنظر ده، خد بالك ان انت عملت توتال انجري للايرس. في الحاله اللي زي كده لو حصلت معاك يفضل انك توقف وتستخدم ايرس هوكس عشان تبعد الايرس للبريفري ما يجيلكش كل شويه في الفوك تيب، او اثناء الاريجيشن اسبيريشن يدخل في التيب بتاع دائره الاسبيريشن. الايرس برولابس. الايرس برولابس ده بيحصل في حالات لو انت الويند كونستراكشن بتاعك مش معمول كويس، بمعنى ان انت استخدمت مثلا كراتون 3 مللي وانت استخدمت تيب مثلا 2 و2، فلازم يحصل ليكج. الحاجه الثانيه لو العيان ده اولد ميل وعنده بروستيت وبياخد الحاجات اللي بتاعت البروستيت دي بتعمل فلوج ايرس سندروم. الحاجه الثانيه لو العيان ده عنده هاي بريشر انسايد ذا اي، الويندو بتاعك كويسه وانت معلي الازازه على الاخر، البريشر جوه زياده فالايرس ممكن يطلع، او العيان بيحزق، او لو سموث تايت سبيكتر يعني حاجات فيها بوزيتيف بريشر. طيب لو لقيت الايرس بيطلع معاك تعمل ايه؟ بتطلع من الوند وتيجي من عند الباراسنتيز وتدوس على الباراسنتيز سنه بسيطه، هيفضي شويه فلويد، هتكون النتيجه الاي تبقى سوفتنج. تيجي من عند الوند وتحقن فيسكو الاستيك، الايرس يدخل لجوه. بعد كده تدخل بالفيكو تيب وتكمل الشغل، تفهم بيقيس وتكمل. لو لقيت ان الايرس كل شويه بيطلع بالرغم من المانوفر ده، لا انت ممكن تعمل سوتشرنج للوند ده وتفتح وند تاني وتكمل منه الحاله. لو انت بتعمل دي حصلت معايا من كذا سنه وكانت حاله مش حلوه يعني، ان انت لما بتستخدم في الهيدرو ديسكشن لما بتدخل بالنيدل بتاعتك على سرنجه عاديه مش سكرود، بعد كده بتحقن، ساعات انت احيانا بيبقى معاك شويه ريزيستنس، خد بالك؟ فسب كونشس كده بتكمل في الحق تلاقي الكانولا فلتت، وده حصلت معايا. كل النتيجه يفتح بسيل الكبسول يعدي ورا يعمل انجري للريتنال برود، وده حصلت معايا. فلازم تستخدم سرنجه اللي هي بتبقى فيها سكرو لما تيجي تعمل هيدرو سكشن وتتاكد ان هي مقفوله كويس، ما تعتمدش على السيستم. برضه لو انت بتستخدم اريجيشن اسبيريشن باي مانوال، خد بالك من النوع اللي هي هاندل ونيدل وتب، تتاكد لما الاسيستنت يديها لك قبل ما تدخل الورقين لازم تتاكد ان هم ماسكين كويس في بعض. بالنسبه للكبسول، الكبسول عندنا فيها 4 ايتمز مهمين، ريديال اكستنشنز لما تيجي تعمل كبسول اكسس، لو حصل منك زينو ريديفيزنز، او لو حصل في البوستيريور كبسول، او لو حصل دروبين نيوكليس. طيب لو حصل ريديال اكستنشن كبسول اكسس، اول حاجه توقف واخد بالك وتدور على كوز يكون عامل لك بوزيتيف بريشر، بمعنى العيان انكزايتي وبيحزق ومكشف نفسه، تهدي العيان. لو كان السبيكولم تايب تركيه شويه تحقن مور فيسكو الاستيك وتحاول تكمل الكابسوليتس بتاعك هنا كنترولد فاشن، يعني انت تدخل بالريكسس وتمسك الفلات بتاعتك قرب الايدج بتاع الريكسس وتحاول تمشي بيها سنه 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 سنه، ويبقى عندك تندنس انك تسحب شويه ناحيه السنتر وانت بتلف. طيب خلاص حصل ريجل اكستنشن وخلاص، قدامك حاجه من الاثنين، خد بالك يا اما تقلبها كونفنشنال تقلبها اكسترا كابسولر توسع الويندو وتطلعها، او انك تعملها ديليفري سوبرا كابسولر وتعمل فيكو في الانتيريور تشامبر. بس قبل ما تعمل الخطوتين دول لازم تعمل كذا راديال اكستنشنز عشان ما تعملش ستريس على 1 راديال اكستنشن فيلف لورا لغايه البوستيريور كابسول. ولو قررت ان انت تعمل فيكو سوبرا كابسولر يبقى اغلب الشغل في الانتيريور تشامبر، لازم تحقن ديسبيرس فيسكو الاستيك زي الفيسكوت مثلا، خد بالك، ولازم تعمل موديفيكيشن في البارامترز بتاعتك، يعني تستخدم مثلا سي بالس مود، تزود الفاكيوم، تزود الفلوريت بحيث انت تسرع المانوفر ما يبقاش فيه ايه فيلد باور كتير على الكورنيال اندوثيليوم. طيب الكلام ده احنا بنشوفه اكتر في حالات الاندوميسال ديكاتراكت اللي هو الريكسس اللي بيجري ده. العيان ده محتاج تحضير كويس، تديله الاوبراتيف سيديشن، تديله مانيتول، لازم تستخدم كبسول ستون لازم تجيب الانتيريور تشامبر بفيسكولاستيك. لما تفتح الكبسول هتلاقي فيه فلويد طالع، الفلويد ده اعمل له اسبيريشن قبل ما تكمل الريكسس عشان ده بيقلل الانترا بريشر، فيقلل التنز على الريكسس انه يجري لبره. السيميلار ديزنس ده بيبقى اكتر في حالات السود اكسبيديشن، في حالات السمول بيوبل، التروماتيك كاتراكت، الفيري دينس كاتراكت. طيب لو حصل معاك حسيت ان في سيميلار ديزنس بتعمل ايه؟ اول حاجه توقف التندنس انك تسحب ايدك بسرعه من جوه العين، وعينك وايدك جوه العين والاريجيشن شغال، بتسيب الايد اللي فيها الشوفر وتاخد الايد اللي فيها المسلسل او الاسكولاستيك وتحقنه عشان تتاكد الاي سي دي واخد بالك ما حصلش فيها ايه؟ واخد بالك لص. وبعد كده بتطلع بالهاند بيس وتبص الحاله وتفكر فيها. لو الحاله دي واخد بالك الزونال ديزنس فيها اقل من النص ممكن تكمل الحاله باستخدام الكابسولار هوبس او باستخدام السي تي ار. لكن لو لقيته في ماسيف سبلكسيشن وممكن تقع واخد بالك الافضل ان انت ايه تو كونفرت اكسترا كابسول. الرابشر وبوستيريور كبسول ده ليه ورنينج ساين. لو انت شغال وحصل معاك كولابس في الانتيريور تشامبر او حصل بوست اوكلوجن سيرج، ده غالبا هو اللي بيؤدي الى رابشر بوستيريور كبسول. فتلاقي بعد ما حصل سيرج او كولابس انتيريور تشامبر تلاقي مره واحده حصل ايه؟ سادن ديبنينج اوف انتيريور تشامبر. ساعتها تبص بقى وتدور غالبا هتشوف ايه الاوبننج اللي حصل في البوستيريور كبسول. اجين توقف التندنس ان انت تسحب ايدك بسرعه وانت ايدك جوه العين بالهاند بيس والاريجيشن لسه شغال، بتسيب الشوبر تمسك الفيسكولاستيك تحقنه بالباراسينتيزس عشان تجيب الانتيريور تشامبر. بعد كده تشوف انت الدنيا اخبارها ايه. ممكن حاجه من الاثنين، قدامك حاجه من الاثنين، انت تقلب الاكسترا كابسول وتطلع الكاتراكت، او ان انت ممكن لو انت خلاص خلصت اغلب الفيك وفاضلك مثلا ربع او حاجه زي كده، ممكن تستخدم الاي او ال بتاعتك از سكافولد. تحقن الاي او ال في الانتيريور تشامبر، بس يفضل ان تكون مالتي بيس اي او ال، وتحط الاي او ال فوق الايرس وتحقن فيها فوقيها ميثايل فتجيب من الانتيريور تشامبر، فكده الاي او ال موجوده تحتيك از سكافولد، فتمنع ان انت النيوكليس او البارت اللي فاضل من النيوكليس اللي يقع تحت وتعمل له فيكومانسيفيكيشن. بعد كده ترجع للاي او ال في السالكس بعد ما كانت فوق الايرس. طبعا لو في فيترس لازم يبقى كنت عامل جود انتيريور فيتكتومي. طيب انت بقى كده بعد ما حصل رابشر بوستيريور كبسول، الاي او ال اوبشنز المتاحه قدامك حسب الكونديشن قدامك. لو الريكسس انتك ممكن تحط مالتي بيس اي او ال في السالكس. لو الكبسول كلها مش موجوده يبقى قدامك حاجه من الاثنين، يا اما تستخدم انجل سبورتد اي او ال انتو تشامبر اي او ال، او ايرس فيكسيتد اي او ال زي البلو لينز او سويتشر اي او ال في الباك اوف ايرس، او انك تعمل سبيرال فيكسيشن اي او ال، ودي في منها انواع، ممكن تبقى سويتشر بالبرولين، ممكن تبقى جلود في سبيرال تانل، ممكن حاجه اسمها يماني فلانج تكنيك اللي هو بيستخدم مالتي بيس اي او ال ويعمل اكسترناليزيشن للبرولين هابتكس، وبعد كده يعمل لايت كتر للطرف بتاعها فيحصل تعمل في الاخر زي النوب. النوب دي تمنع الهابتكس ان يحصل لها ريتراكشن فتبقى انجريز. لو حصل منك دروب نيوكليس وانت انتيريور سيجمنت سيرجنز، لو سمحت اعمل جود انتيريور فيتريكتومي، حاول ما تزرعش اي او ال، اعمل سوتشرنج الوند وريفير ذا كيس. احيانا انت لما بتحط اي ده فيديو سريع للسموت لحاله دروب هول نيوكليس. احنا دلوقتي بنعمل جود انتيريور او بنعمل جود كور فيتريكتومي عشان خاطر اللينس تبقى في الكاتراكت فريلي موبايل، ما يحصلش تراكشن على الريتنا. هنا تلاحظ حضرتك ان احنا هنا استخدمنا الفيكو نيدل العاديه مش النيدل بتاعت الفيكو فراجماتوم من غير السليف طبعا. ولازم الاسيستنت من بره كل شويه يرش على السكليرودومي عشان ما يحصلش بن في السكليرودومي ويحصل له ريتراكشن. اخيرا السوبرا كرودال هيمورج الورنينج ساينز بتاعته اللي هو يحصل صدم شانلز في الدي سي وانكريس اي او بي والتشينج في الريد ريفلكس. لو حصل الكلام ده بعمل رابط كلوجر للوند او سوتشرنج للوند اند بوست بوند كيس. Take home messages when intraoperative complications occur. Stop, take a deep breath, then proceed with the case. It is important to keep any anxiety under control, otherwise your hand can shake and you might not be able to think clearly and act properly. Also, seeing that you are calm will help your OR team to remain calm. Thank you.
نشكر الدكتور محمد فاروق. ندعو الدكتور حسام محرم من يونيفرسيتي هيكلمنا على اندوكسالمايتس ابديت.
هنتكلم النهارده على الاندوفثالمايتس ابديتس. دايما بنبتدي بالبرزنتيشن والدسكشن وننتهي بالتيك هوم مسج. المره دي هنبتدي على طول بالتيك هوم مسج لان هي دي الكبسوله اللي احنا عاوزينها على طول وان كنا هنطول فيها شويه. عشان ابتدي الكلام في الاندوفثالمايتس انا مش عاوز الحاله تحصل اصلا، انا مش عاوز يحصل اندوفثالمايتس. عشان اتكلم على الابديتس، الابديتس تبتدي من السلكشن بتاعت الكيس، من السلكشن بتاعت الاوبريتيف ثيتر، من السلكشن بتاعت المانوفر اللي انا هشتغل بيه الكيس دي. ما ينفعش الاقي حاله فيري هارد وانا امكانياتي لسه في الفيكو واقول ان انا هشتغل فيكو، فاعمل لينتنج الاوبريشن تايم، اعمل بيرن الوند، اعمل جابنج في الوند، ومي اي بروديوس بوستيريور كابسول رابشر اند فيتريس لوس. واتكلم بعد كده عن الانسيدنس اوف اندوفثالمايتس او البريفنشن بتاعه. انا ابتديت من الاول غلط. فيبقى عشان ابتدي يبقى ابتدي من اول ما اخترت الحاله وحضرتها، ما فيهاش رابنج كلاش، ما فيهاش انفكشن، ما فيهاش كرونيك بليفرايتس، ما فيها كل الحاجات دي المفروض ان احنا مكملينها عشان ما نتكلم بعد كده على الابديت. الابديتس دي كلها سنه 2018 اتكلموا على جايد لاينز فور كليننج اند ستيرلايزيشن اوف انترا اوكيولار سيرجيكال انسترومنتس. في ديبيتس كتير جدا بتتكلم عن الاسترلايزيشن دلوقتي. كلنا سمعنا ان في رولز جديده اتحطت في الاسترلايزيشن عشان نتكلم على حاجه زي الانزيماتيك كليننج مثلا. الانزيماتيك كليننج دي عباره عن سوليوشنز فيها بروتو انزيمز او بروتون انزيمز، دي ليتك انزيمز على اساس انها بتنظف الانسترومنتس بتاعتنا من الدبرس الموجود عليها. للاسف الشديد دي بالنسبه لنا احنا في الرمل عشان الالات بتاعتنا فيري ديليكت وفيها تجاويف كتير، فالكليننج بتاعت الانزيمز دي فيري ديفيكت. لازم بيبقى رينسنج كتير جدا 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 بكريتيكال ووتر، يعني ديستلد ووتر، تمام؟ فعشان ده ما بيحصلش وجدوا ان الانزيماتيك كليننج بتزود التاس اللي هو الكلماتريك بروسيس اللي بتحصل او ريزمبلينج الاندوفثالمايتس. عشان كده دي مش ريكومندد بالنسبه لنا، وان كانت ريكومندد بالنسبه للتراخيص في وزاره الصحه انها تبقى موجوده عندنا، انما استخدامها بيبقى ريزورتد لو انا عندي عدد حالات كبير جدا في اليوم واشتغلت حالات كتير بستخدمه في الاخر خالص في اخر اليوم، ولازم بعديه اعمل رينزنج كويس جدا 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 للالات كذا سايكل ورا بعضيها، رينزنج ووتر ديستل ووتر مش اكتر ولا اقل، عشان اقدر ان انا اتجنب اللي هو التاس سندروم. الالترا ساوند كليننج ده حاجه جديده برضه، ووجدوا نفس الكلام انها بتعمل دبرس، وبتعمل دبرس من الالات نفسها، من الميتال نفسه بتاع الالات، وبالتالي احنا بنحاول نتجنبها الا في الالات الفيري ديفيكلت الفيري ديليكت اللي انا ما بقدرش ان انا انضفها كويس بنمبر 1 اللي هو البراشنج. يبقى البراشنج عادي بفرشه سنان اللي هي سوفت تيب، والرينزنج كويس قوي بالووتر بعد الديستل طبعا بعد الاوبريشن، دي اهم حاجه في الكليننج بتاعت الالات قبل ما ادخلها التعقيم. يبقى ما بين كل حاله والثانيه انا ما بستعجلش على الاسيستنس بتوعي، لان هم لازم ينظفوا الالات كويس، لانه الالات لو تعقمت وعليها دبرس، الدبرس دي بتبقى بارير ما بين التعقيم وما بين البكتيريا الموجوده، وبالتالي ممكن يحصل ري انفكشن. عشان كده في ناس كتير لما بيحصل اوت بريك للاندوفثالمايتس وبيقول لك انا بعقم الالات ما بين كل عيان والتاني، بتعقمها بس ما بتنظفهاش، ما بتعملش كلين، وبالتالي البكتيريا موجوده على الرغم من الاسترلايزيشن اللي احنا بنعمله. ريوز اوف فيكو تيبس، ودي حاجه بتضايقنا كلنا وبتبقى مشكله عندنا سواء مشكله دينيه او ضميريه، ان انا بستخدم الفيكو تيب لكذا عيان. الريكومنديشنز بتاعت الشركات المختلفه، كل شركه بتريكومند الفيكو تيب ريوز فور سيرتن نمبرز اوف كيسز. في شركات بتريكومند تيب ريوز فور وانس، في شركات فور 20 تايمز. لقوا ان احنا لو استخدمناها اكتر من مره، والكلام ده في الامريكان اكاديمي دوكيومنتد وفي الاسكرز سيرفيز، ان احنا لو استخدمناها اكتر من مره واستخدمنا السبيكترال ميكروسكوب او اللارج ماجنيفيكيشن ميكروسكوبس، لقوا ان مفيش اي بايوديجرابيلتي في التيتانيوم تيبس او في التيبس اللي احنا بنستخدمها، مفيش ميجور كراكس، مفيش اي هارم على البيشنت ان انا اعيد استخدامها more than 50 100 200 and maybe 500 times to be reused and re-sterilized. فموضوع التيب ريوز ده ما فيهوش اي مشكله بفرض ان انا بمشي بوسائل التعقيم بتاعتي. الاسترلايزيشن اوف انسترومنت انا بستخدم طبعا الفلاش اوتوكلافز او اغلبنا في المستشفيات احنا ناس ريزيمبلينج انديان اكثر من ريزيمبلينج يو اس اي او يوروب. البوبيوليشن مختلف، المواعيد مختلفه، الكرنس اوف كاتاراكت مختلف، وبالتالي احنا عندنا ريت اعلى بكتير من عندهم، فعشان نمشي على الرولز بتاعتهم بتبقى الدنيا بالنسبه لنا احنا صعبه جدا. فلقوا ان احنا لازم نعمل بيولوجيكال تيستنج للماشين بتاعتنا. المشكله عندنا ممكن انا عندي الماشين ودخلت الدوره فيها وطلع عندي الكيميكال مارك طلع ان هو ستيرلايزد، بس لو دخلت بكتيريا وعملت لها بيولوجيكال تيستنج يعني عملت لها ستيرلايزيشن وخدتها بعد كده هلاقيها ما ماتتش، يبقى عندي مشكله في الجهاز بتاعي. فهو الريكومنديشن ان انا اعمل بيولوجيكال تيستنج وانس بير داي لو انا لارج فوليوم او وانس بير ويك لو انا الفوليوم عندي بتاع الشغل قليل. طب السايكل اللي انا هستخدمها في الانسترومنتيشن حكايه ان انا استخدم الالات ادخلها الفرن او ادخلها الاسترايزنج سايكل واطلعها من غير ما يحصل لها دراينج، ده لقوا فيه مشكله. يعني لازم اكمبليت السايكل تل دراينج وكمبليت الدراينج سايكل، لان هي دي بتقلل فرص الكونتامينيشن بتوين الانسترومنت ستيرلايزنج ماشين والكريتر. اتكلموا عن دراي سايكل وقالوا لازم تبقى كومبليتد، اتكلموا عن الراب او الانراب انسترومنتس ولقوا ان هم الاثنين ما فيش فرق منهم الا لو انا هخلي الالات اوفر نايت، يعني ان انا هعقم الالات قبلها بيوم يبقى لازم تبقى رابد ولازم تبقى درايد، لانها لو كانت ويت يبقى لازم اتعقم وانا بعمل لها مانيبيوليشن. الهاندلنج لان في ناس كتير عندنا بتبقى هاي فوليوم او مستشفيات كبيره وفي هاي فوليوم، فبيضطر ان هو بيستخدم الكاسيت نفسها بتاعه الجهاز اللي هو التري نفسه، مفيش مشكله فيه لو الهاندلنج بتاعي هيبقى بيسترايزد بيرسون. وفي خلال دقائق لقوا ان مفيش كونتامينيشن بيحصل من الجو خصوصا في الاير كنترول ثياترز. تايم يوسج زي ما احنا قلنا لو اوفر نايت لو بيقعد لغايه 1 ويك بالنسبه للراب، بالنسبه للانراب ده بيبقى في خلال دقائق على طول في العمليه. طبعا الجلوتر هايت كل الناس خلاص منعوه او شكوا ان هم يمنعوه. ليه؟ لان هو برضه نفس الكلام، هو الكاسترايزيشن مش المشكله فيه، انما المشكله في الريمنتس بتاعته ان لازم تعملها كليننج كويس جدا 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 ووشنج كويس جدا 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 برضه عشان ما تعملش انفلاماتوري بروسيس جوه الارض. على الرغم من كل الكلام ده لقوا ان الانديان دوكيومنتيشنز لقت ان الريت عندها في اندوفتالمايتس هي نفس الريت الموجوده في الاندوفتالمايتس في يوروب وفي اليو كي وفي الامريكا، على الرغم من هم بيستخدموا الجلافز جاونز الاي اي تيوبينج الاريجيشن بوتلز البليتس والكانيولاز are routinely reused. ودي عندنا احنا في اماكن كتير لقوا ان multiple patients simultaneously in the same room or the same theater at different microscopes and different surgeon might be done simultaneously. انه العيانين انه النيرسنج والستاف ممكن ما يعملوش ري جاونينج او ري جلافز مره ثانيه. لقوا ان كل النيومرس داتا اللي هم بيعملوها والبريكوشنز دي انها ما اختلفتش في الانسيدنس اوف اندوفتالمايتس، على الرغم انها عملت لهم كوست عاليه جدا جدا. فبداوا يتكلموا تاني في الري تشويس بتاع البيشنت من الاساس، لان احنا عندنا في طرف تاني في الميزان اللي هو البيشنت نفسه اللي هو السلكشن بتاع البيشنت والداتا اللي حواليه. طيب اندوفتالمايتس في الانسيدنس، طبعا الانسيدنس اختلفت تماما من زمان لغايه دلوقتي. النسبه اللي بنتكلم فيها الراوند فيجر 0.02 اللي احنا بنتكلم فيها على مستوى العالم. الباثوجين الفاريشن بتاع الباثوجين بتختلف من مكان لمكان، من سيرجري لسيرجري، يعني بوست كاتراكت غير التروماتيك اندوفتالمايتس غير البوست جلوكوما غير بالنسبه انتيريور سيجمنت بالنسبه للليزك او الحاجات اللي زي كده. كل ما فهمنا قوي احنا بنتكلم على ايه او بنتعامل مع ايه هنعرف المشاكل اللي احنا بنتكلم عليها كلنا. يعني احنا بنتكلم على الايرلي فيتريكتومي وبنتكلم على الانتيبيوتكس اللي هي بري سيرجري، وبنتكلم على احنا بنتعامل مع ايه؟ احنا بنتعامل مع اورجانيزم، الاورجانيزم ده هو بيتعامل بطريقته هو مش بطريقتنا احنا. احنا المفروض بنتدخل بطريقه الانمي بتاعنا مش بالطريقه اللي احنا شايفين انها بتطلع ريزلت ازاي، لان احنا لو فهمناه كويس هنتعامل معاه كويس. لقينا ان اغلب البكتيريا كل بكتيريا ليها الطريقه بتاعتها في انها فايت فور اتس اكزيستنس. تمام؟ يعني عندي الستاف اوريس بتفرز سايتوكاينز، السايتوكاينز دي بتعمل ليها رابيد ديستريبيوشن. سودوموناس والستريبتوكوكس سكريتس حاجه اسمها نيومولايسين، النيومولايسين دي برضه بتعمل لها رابيد انفيشن للفيتريوس باندز والحاجات اللي زي كده. لقينا انه الباسيلا سيريس ليها تريجرنج اميون ريسبتورز، الاميون ريسبتورز دي لو انا عملت لها بلوكينج يبقى هقلل البنتريشن بتاعتها والقدره بتاعتها، خاصه الباسيلا سيريس من الفيري فيرولنت اورجانيزمز هي والجرام نيجاتيفز اللي بيعملوا لنا من اول كورنيال انفولفمنت لغايه الماكيولار انفولفمنت. لقينا في حاجه ثانيه زي الكواجيليز نيجاتيف ستريبتوكوكس والسودوموناس والستاف بيعملوا حاجه اسمها بايوفيلم. يعني ايه بايوفيلم؟ يعني هي بتحوط نفسها ببايوفيلم على اساس انها تبروتكت اتسيلف فروم الانجكتد انتي بايوتكس اللي احنا بنديها، وبالتالي الانترافيتري انجكشن لو ما اداش نتيجه في الفيرست مش ريكومندد ان نديه سكند تايم، لا ده ريكومندد فور فيتريكتومي على طول. طيب البكتيريا دي احنا هنتعامل معاها ازاي؟ هنتعامل معاها بطريقتها بطريقه الجروث بتاعها زي ما هنقول. سامبلنج احسن طريقه ان انا اخد السامبلنج الفيتريوس تاب. وجدوا الانتيريور تشامبر از او تاب انه الكونتامينيشن بتاعتها كتير من المايكرو اورجانيزم او نورمال فلورا بتاعت الكونجنتايفا، ففي الاخر لقينا ان هو الفيتريوس تاب هو الفيرست تشويس. طب الدايجنوستيك تول بتاعتي احسن حاجه ريل تايم بي سي ار. دكاتره في الفيوم لما عملوا البيبر بتاعتهم اشتغلوا على الكالتشر والسنسيتيفيتي. الكالتشر والسنسيتيفيتي في ميزه واحده بس اللي هو السنسيتيفيتي مش الكالتشر. يعني اذا كان في اورجانيزم فهو سنسيتيف ليه. انما هو ريل تايم بي سي ار بيديني نتيجه ما بين نص ساعه وساعه، بيديني نوع الاورجانيزم حتى لو كان العيان واخد انترفيتري انجكشن قبل كده، لو في عندي لو عندي سيل ممبرين بس من البكتيريا بيديني النوع بتاعها، وبالتالي بعرف انا بتعامل مع ايه بالظبط، وانا عارف الكاتيجوريز بتاعت الانتيبيوتكس اللي بتتعامل مع البكتيريا دي، فبالتالي بقدر ان انا اتعامل معاها بعد كده. هيبقى احسن حاجه عندي ريت تايم بي سي ار، وفي حاجه طبعا جديده اسمها ماس سبكترومتري دي هاير افكسي عن الريل تايم بي سي ار ورابيد ريزلتس ولور كوست. الانتيبيوتيك تريتمنت اللي احنا اتكلمنا عليه في حاجات كتير بتحكمني فيه، التوكسيستي زي ما احنا قلنا في الهورك سندروم وحاجات زي كده. البري اوبراتيف انتيبيوتيك وجدوا ان هو ملوش لازمه، بالعكس في الانترافيتري انجكشنز وجدوا ان هو هارمفول مش مفيد، لان هو بيغير البكتيريا الفلورا بتاعت الكونجنتايفا، وبالتالي بيخلي الاورجانيزم اللي هي الهارمفول اورجانيزم تبقى هي الفاستايت، ما فيش كومبيتيشن فور فود. دايما لما الناس بتتخانق على اكله فبيتخانق القوي والضعيف بيضعفوا بعض، انما لما اسيب واحد لوحده هيقدر ان هو ياخد النصيب الاكبر منها. نفس الكلام البري اوبرتيف انتيبيوتيك هو بيقتل البكتيريا الفلورا اللي هي ملهاش في الانفكشن، دي بتكمبيتس فور فود مع الهارمفول بكتيريا، وبالتالي بتسيبها لوحدها فبتزود الانفكشن، ده غير انها بتدي لها اميونيتي بعد كده من الانفكشن. الانترافيتريال فانكومايسين والسيلبيزيدين دي هي جولدن رول فور انجكشن، لان هم بيغطوا اغلب الكلام وفي نفس الوقت الريتنا التوكسيستي بتاعتهم قليله. الموكسيفلوكسين انترا كاميرال ده بقى برضه من الحاجات اللي هي ريكومندد. لينوزولامايد 4 جرام بوزيتيف ده سيستميك انتيبيوتيك. الحالات دي احنا بندي سيستميك انتيبيوتكس دلوقتي في حالات الاندوسالمايتس. في الفيتريكتومي اندوسالمايتس فيتريكتومي ستادي ما كانوش بيدوا انتي بايوتكس لان ما كانتش موجوده الحاجات دي دلوقتي.
اسمه ايه يا حسام؟ اسمه ايه؟
افيلوزيبيد. افيلوزيبيد. 600 مللي جرام بس ده 4 جرام بوزيتيف بكتيريا. تمام؟ الفيتريس انتيبيوتيك كليرنس دي كلام كتير فيه بالنسبه لنا، بالنسبه للدكاتره اللي بيشتغلوا فيتريكتومي، لان انا زي ما الدكاتره قالوا احنا عندنا سندرومز كتير وعندنا توكسيستي للريتنا، فما ينفعش ما دام انا هدخل اعمل فيتريكتومي لازم ابقى واخد في بالي كويس قوي قوي الانتيبيوتيك اللي انا هعمله انجكشن ديورنج اند افتر اوبريشن. المفروض ان انا عندي توكسيك ليفل ان انا نوت اكسيدنج ات. لو انا استخدمت سيليكون او استخدمت اير او جاز في الاند بتاع الاوبريشن لازم اخد في بالي كويس جدا ان الكونسنتريشن بتاعت الانتيبيوتيك هتختلف لانه مفيش فيتريس فبقى في كليرنس سريع، وفي نفس الوقت مفيش فيتريس فبقى في توكسيستي عاليه لو انا اديت نفس الدوز. فلازم اعمل بالانس ما بين الاثنين. الاسترويدز كونتروفيرسال، ولو ان الريزلتس بتاعت مور اند مور سيرجنز بيقولوا ان الديكساميثازون امبلانتس بتريديوس النيد فور ري انجكشن اوف انتيبيوتكس. الفيتريكتومي تايمينج as soon as possible. طبعا as soon as possible دي مش possible بالنسبه لنا احنا في السيتويشنز بتاعتنا زي ما الدكتور سراج قال، في عيانين دايابيتكس، في عيانين فيبقى سسبكت انجكت اند ريفير في خلال 24 ساعه لازم اتدخل في الفيتريكتومي. الاكستند بتاعت الفيتريكتومي ايام زمان كنا بنقول كور فيتريكتومي وما تعملش بي في دي. من سنه 2003 او 2005 قلنا لا لازم تعمل بي في دي وتعمل اكستنسيف كور فيتريكتومي. مع الماشينز الجديده اللي هي الدول كاتنج والحاجات اللي زي كده لا بيقولوا ممكن نوصل للفيتريس بيز، ولو في تيرز لا اعمل لها ليزر. التروماتيك اندوكسامايس انترا اوكيولار فورم بودي بيبقى فيها ريتنال بيرفوريشن وبنعمل لها ليزر وما بيحصلش منها مشاكل. فاعمل ليزر مش لازم يبقى فيري هيفي ليزر، يبقى لايت ليزر بس ما تخافش من الليزر وما تخافش من التابلونات. الاندوسكوبيك فيتريكتومي دي حاجه جديده، وزي ما قلنا الانتيبيوتكس لازم تاخد في بالك الانجكتنج بتاعك. يبقى الرول بتاعي سسبكت، لازم يبقى عندك هاير سسبيشس لحالات الاندوكسالمايتس. ما فيش حاجه اسمها ده انفلاميشن وهيعدي، لا سسبكت اندوكسالمايتس حتى لو كان انفلاميشن انجكت انتيبيوتكس اند دو فيتريكتومي. هنباي باس الفيديوز. في حاجات جديده ظهرت زي الانترافيترال لايبوزومال انفوتيرسون بي، النانو بارتكلز، والفولدبل كابسولار فيتريس بودي لودد انتي بايوتكس. الفيوتشر للانكابسوليتد انتي مايكروبيالز، الانترافيترال لايبوزومال والنانو بارتكلز والفولدبل. الانترا فيتريال انجكشن ريكومنديشنز ودي حاجه جديده اللي هو الانترافيترال انجكشنز بدات تبقى ملايين والانجكشن ما بيبقاش مره واحده زي الكاتراك، لا ده بيبقى مالتيبل اوفر ييرز. فلازم يبقى لينا ريكومنديشنز. الريكومنديشنز دي لو احنا قريناها هنعرف ان هي اغلبها متاخده من الانتراتيكال انجكشنز بتاعه الانتيبيوتكس او بتاعه اللي هم بتوع مخ واعصاب، لان هم عندهم الموضوع ده اهم مننا. فاحنا هنتكلم على السيتنج في الاوبريتور ثياتر او في اديكويت روم. الانستيزيا، اي انستيزيا، توبيكال انتيسيبتكس بروبودين ايودين هو ريكومندد، ويستحسن ان انت تحطه من غير ما تحط الجل، يعني ما تحطش انستيزيا قبليه. يا اما لو هتحط انستيزيا يبقى حط مره وبعد كده حط البروبودين ايودين وسيبه فتره وبعد كده بتيجي الانستيزيا بتاعتك عشان الايفكت بتاعه بيقل مع الانستيزيا. الانتيبيوتكس البري اوبريتيف نوت ريكومندد. اجابه على السؤال بيوبل دايليتيشن عند البيجنرز. جلوب سوفتنج مش ريكومندد، والمساجنج بتاع الليد فوربيدن. ليد سبيكولم، اي سبيكولم عندك المهم ان هو يبعد اللاشز، ويا ريت الدرابل يبعد اللاشز تحتيه، ده اهم حاجه. النيدل كاوتش مش هتفرق واللانس مش هيفرق، الانجكشن لوكيشن مش هيفرق. اهم حاجه ان انت تلبس جلافز سواء كانت الكلام بتاعهم معقمه او غير معقمه، تغسل ايديك كويس، ما تتكلمش. يعني كل الانستراكشنز بتاعتك تقولها قبل ما تدخل اوضه العمليات. دخلت اوضه العمليات البس ماسك، ما تتكلمش ولا انت ولا العيان. ثانك يو.
معلش دي كومنت سريع برضو بمناسبه بيرسونال اكسبيرينس. من ضمن السورسز والانفكشن اللي حصلت معايا من فتره ليست بعيده ان تبقى الاي دروبس كونتامينيتد او يعني فيك اي دروبس، وللاسف انا كان عندي حاله وعملت الريكومنديشن واديتها للدكتور حسام عمل لها تريتمنت في نفس النايت وحطينا لها نفس القطره، يعني ما كناش عارفين. فخلي بالكم ان حتى الناس اللي بتحقن انترا كاميرا لازم السورس بتاع الاي دروبس يبقى من مكان موثوق منه.
وبرضه هو طبعا في اشهر حاجه مفروشه في السوق الفيجا موكس، ده اشهر حاجه. طبعا الحاجه الكاركترستيك الكلر بتاع الفيجا موكس بيبقى يلو، لايت يلو ويلو. فطبعا كل الناس بتحط او بتحقن فيجا موكس. برضه في نقطه مهمه جدا لازم نحطها في الاعتبار، الكونسنتريشن بتاع القطره. يعني مش هاخدها واحطها على طول كده، لا ده انا لازم اخد 3 سم ازود عليهم 7 سم، ولازم احضر ده بنفسي لان ساعات بيبقى الانفلاماتوري بروسيس من الاوفر دوسج بتاع الفيجا موكس او الموكس فلوكساسين يعني.
يمكن احنا متاخرين دلوقتي وغالبا دي اخر توكه الجمعه. هنتكلم عن ديسلوكيتد انترلوكال لينس اوبشنز، ومعانا الدكتور عادل فروم ازهر يونيفرسيتي.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بداية أتوجه بخالص الشكر والتقدير لأساتذتي وزملائي في قسم طب جراحة العيون جامعة المنيا على الدعوة الكريمة دي، ولا ننسى برضه الجهد الجهيد الأستاذ الدكتور محمد المدثر رئيس قسم طب جراحة العيون في طب الأزهر، اللي مش سايب فرصة لينا إن في أي مؤتمر في أي ديسكشن إحنا يبقى لينا توكس ولينا مشاركات في هذه المؤتمر. هنتكلم عن موضوع يعني هو يخيل لنا الموضوع سهل، ولكن هو موضوع مش السهل اللي احنا بنقول عليه السهل الممتنع، هو dislocated eyeballs. how to treat this complication. واحده من اخطر الكومبليكيشنز اللي ممكن تحصل في during anterior segment operations. احنا ازاي نحل مشكله زي دي كده لو حصلت معانا كديسلوكيتد ايبالز؟ لا يخفى علينا التقدم الهائل والرائع في طب جراحات العيون على المستوى العالمي، واحنا كنا متاخرين ما يقرب من 50 60 سنه عن ما يحصل بره في التقدم بالنسبه لنا. هنيجي نتكلم في المالتيبليكيشن، واحده من اهم الاوبريشنز اللي بتتعمل في الكاتراكت سيرجريز، ومع ذلك على الرغم ان هي مور ادفانتجز اوفر ذي بلاند اكسترا كابسولار كاتراكت اكستراكشن، ومع ذلك فيها بعض الكومبليكيشنز اللي ممكن تكون خطيره بالنسبه لنا. فاحنا ازاي نتعامل مع حاله زي دي؟ يا ترى الكومبليكيشنز اللي حصلت دي احنا نسيب الاي او ال في مكانها ولا نزرع اي او ال during الفيرست سيشن او السيم سيتنج، ولا ابص بون الاوبريشن وريفير الكيس لفيت سيرجن؟ فيعتمد على الديسلوكيتد اي او ال، هل دي هارد اي او ال ولا فولدبل اي او ال؟ انا عندي انسترومنتيشن وعندي ايكومنت شغاله وعندي حد من الممبر ستاف ممبرز اللي عندي في بوستيريو سيجمنت، يبقى في السيم سيتنج بعمل كل الديتيلز دي، بعمل الاكسبلانتيشن اي او ال تمام، واحط اي او ال ثانيه في السيم سيتنج. ما عنديش الامكانيات دي في المكان اللي شغال فيه، وما فيش عندي في بوستيريو سيجمنت سيرجن بوست بون دي اوبريشن. لكن في حاجه نكون متفقين عليها، انه الديسلوكيت اي او ال دي هارد اي او ال يو ماست شود اكسبلانت ذيس اي او ال وات ايفر ذا كوز اوف ذيس ديسلوكيشن. هنعمل اكسبلانتيشن للاي او ال دي وانس ان الاي تبقى كوايت والايكومنتس موجوده عندي والبوستيريو سيجمنت سيرجن موجود. الفولدبل اي او ال هي دي اللي يحتمل الامر فيها كونتروفيرس، ان انا يا ترى في السيم سيتنج عندي امكانيات خير وبركه هشيل اي او ال في نفس السيتنج واحط اي او ال ثانيه وخلاص واعمل فليكم مع اكسبلانتيشن للدروب اي او ال دي. ما عنديش امكانيات والدروب اي او ال دي فولدبل اي او ال، مش هعمل اكسبلانتيشن، وممكن بوست بون الاوبريشن دي على اساس انه كلوز اوبزرفيشن للبيشنت ده. لو انا شايف خلال فتره الفولو اب للبيشنت مفيش اي كومبليكيشنز حاصله معاه، بالتالي انا مش هتدخل باي حال من الاحوال جاست فور كلوز اوبزرفيشن فور ذيس بيشنت. وانس انه ابتدى يحصل اي كومبليكيشن من الجروب ده يقول لي دي يو ماست اكسبلانت ذيس ايوه. Phacoemulsification is the most preferred technique at cataract surgery. The usage of phacoemulsification in cataract surgery is reported in 1967. It is more advantageously compared to the extracapsular cataract extraction. These advantages include fast wound healings, short surgical time, low post-operative astigmatism rate, and low risk for expulsive hemorrhage. While phacoemulsification has above mentioned advantages, it has some potential complications such as posterior capsule rupture, vitreous loss, dislocation of nuclear or cortical lens fragment or implanted IOL into the vitreous, especially in surgery of the complicated cases or in surgery performed by an unexperienced surgeon. An intraocular lens replaces the original crystalline lens when a cataract is removed and provides a light focusing function originally undertaken by crystalline lens. When a cataractous or cloudy crystalline lens is removed during cataract surgery, the outer layer of the lens is left in place to support the IOL. The new lens is placed where the old one was, inside of the lens capsule through the opening that was made in front of the lens capsule. Intraocular lens can be made of several different materials and come in a wide variety of designs. Dislocation of IOL into vitreous is rare, but a serious complication. This complication may occur due to forced hydrodissection, phacoemulsification of the nucleus in the presence of posterior capsule tear or capsulorhexis tear, or inappropriate capsulorhexis, zonular dialysis, and faulty implantation of IOL. It may be observed intraoperatively or a few days after surgery or months following any ocular trauma. Rate of dislocated intraocular lens into the vitreous has been increased in this surgery. Posterior chamber intraocular lenses are engineered to provide excellent vision when implanted into the stable capsule following extracapsular cataract extraction. If the lens capsule or the supporting lens zonules fail and IOL dislocates, vision usually deteriorates. Unfortunately, just as cars are not designed to be easily fixed after crashing, IOLs are not designed to be easily repositioned after dislocation. Dislocation of foldable IOLs into vitreous cavity is more possible and carry lower risk of postoperative complications compared to the hard PMMA intraocular lenses than foldable IOLs. Because foldable IOLs have shorter length and more elastic structure. Generally, IOL dislocation may lead to corneal edema, cystoid macular edema, severe chronic intraocular inflammations, glaucoma, epiretinal membranes, peripheral retinal tear, retinal or choroidal detachment, and it may lead to loss of vision. نيجي بقى treatment options. There are several options available to treat dislocated intraocular lens. The first one is the observation. This means that no therapy. If an intraocular lens is only slightly decentered, the change in prescription of glasses can compensate for this problem. Interestingly, if intraocular lens is totally out of position and settled in the vitreous without any ocular inflammation, retinal complications and visual loss, a dislocated IOL could left in place without removing it, and a secondary PMMA IOL can be placed into the ciliary sulcus with close observation of the patient. These options avoid the risk of removing or manipulating the dislocated lens. The risk of surgery include infection, bleeding, retinal detachment, corneal damage. The main surgical indications for removal of IOL are vitreous opacity, permanent intraocular inflammation, refractory high intraocular pressure, corneal edema, vitreous hemorrhage, and finally retinal detachment. Lines of treatment, if I need to explant the IOL, lens exchange. Probably the most common procedure done for dislocated intraocular lens is a lens exchange. The offending IOL is removed from the eye and a new lens is placed in the eye. If there is some capsule left in the eye that will support the larger IOL, then the posterior chamber IOL, posterior chamber lens can be placed in the eye. If there is no capsular support adequate for posterior chamber lens, and anterior chamber IOL can be placed in front of the iris. In addition, there are useful techniques where the posterior chamber IOL can be placed into an eye without capsular support. Posterior chamber IOL can be clipped to the iris, suture to the iris, suture to the sclera, or haptics of IOL can be tunneled into the sclera. All of these options are reasonable depending on the state of the cornea, iris, and finally the capsule. طبعا استاذنكم بايباس الفيديو عشان الوقت بتاعنا. رقم 3 الايريس suture fixation. If the dislocated IOL is in good shape and free of surrounding capsular debris, it can be captured in the pupil and sutured to the iris. This technique only works well for dislocated IOLs that have haptics. There are other types of IOLs like the crystal IOL that don't have haptics and can't be sutured to the iris. The sutures holding the haptics of IOL can be seen where the arrows are positioning as in the following figure. The optic of IOL is perfectly centered and not visible. The fourth stage, transscleral suture fixation. When there is an inadequate capsular support to allow the simple repositioning of dislocated IOL, sutures can be used to secure the IOL in the visual axis. The IOL can be sutured to the iris or the sclera. In cases of in the back dislocated IOL or plate haptic dislocated IOLs, transscleral 9-0 propylene fixation technique is preferable. The knots used to tie the transscleral sutures securing the IOL present a fixing problem. If they are covered with only conjunctiva and tenon capsule, they usually erode through the covering. Once exposed, the knots irritate the eye and pose an increased risk of the endophthalmitis. This technique requires scleral flap or tunnel by using the needle on 9-0 polypropylene suture to purify the suture in the sclera. The knot can then be rotated into eye through a pre-placed 23 gauge sclerotomy. Thank you.
Observation is not an issue nowadays. أنا النهارده لما يحصل dislocated IOL عندي يا إما dislocated PMMA أو dislocated foldable IOL. Dislocated PMMA should be removed all the time, should not be left in the eye. You should not wait until complications occur and retinal detachment or retinal tears or vitreous hemorrhage and try to remove. Yes, and try to remove. So this IOL should not be observed at all. The only thing to wait for this IOL is to if the eye has edema, has an increased intraocular pressure, you have to treat first and quieten the eye and then remove it. For foldable IOL, this is questionable, but you should remove it. From my experience, you should remove it when all the media are clear, everything is good. Don't wait for complications to occur and then remove the IOL. So observation for IOLs is not an issue nowadays.
حضرتك متاح بالنسبه لي للفولدبل اي ال. انا عندي في حاله ليها سنه ونص تقريبا فيها دروب فولدبل اي ال وزارع هارد اي ال في السلكس وسنه ونص امورها ستيبل لغايه دلوقتي.
Do you think this IOL will not move? Do you think the vitreous now is a gel formed, well formed in a young person or something like that, and then it will not liquefy and the IOL going to move?
هو دي امور حضرتك وارده، بس انا بدي فرصه للعيان ممكن نعملها كريسيرش او بيبر نشوف الفول اب كاوبسرفيشن للفول دبل ديورنج الفول اب.
في ادفايس تاني بس الاخوه بتوع الانتور سيجمنت ربنا يكرمهم لما يحصل دروب اي او ال ما دونت امبلانت نظر اي او ال، لان حقيقي دي بتتعبنا جدا، سبيشال انك انت مش عارف البيهيفير بتاع الديسلوكيتد انتر اوكر لينس هيحصل منها ايه. انت بتتوقع ان دي خلاص هتبقى سايلنت وهتسكت وبعدين تروح تظهر على نفاجئ بعد شويه، لان مصر لما بيحصل دروب ده بيحصل انفلاميشن، بيحصل فيترايتس، بعض الفيترسوباتس، فالعيان ما يبقاش ساتسفاي باللي انت عملته، يعني بصرف النظر هيحصل انفكشن ولا حاجه او هي تبقى سايلنت، ممكن يشتكي من حاجات ثانيه، فلما نيجي بقى نشيل دي لما تبقى حقيقي نفاجئ مثلا ممكن واحد يشيل عدسه الاقي في عدسه ثانيه تاني ورا، فلما تبقى متعبه لينا. غير كده انك انت غالبا بتزرع عدسه بي ام ام اي عشان اللي حصل ربشه، فانت عشان تطلعها واحنا بنعمل فيتريكتومي بتضطر توسع الوند عشان تفتح، فبتبقى تزيد الصعوبه علينا اثناء الدليفري او صناعه الاكسبلانت بتاع الايوان.
البروبلم كمان معلش يعني ايثيكال ايشيو ده مهم جدا، ان حضرتك لو عملت حصل دروب اي او ال وزرعت another implant another IOL, this patient حصل له اي problem, even rubbing his eye only and the IOL moves, and he went to another doctor and did an ultrasound or examined it and suspected, and he said to him that you have another IOL in your eye. This is a very big problem for the first doctor. أنا حصلت لي مرة شلت حالة، طبعا الحالة دي كان مزروع فيها 3 IOL، والحالة دي جت عشان العيان ده حصل فيها ريتينال ديتاتشمنت. في 2 IOL كويس كانوا in the vitreous وانذر IOL في السلكس، 3 IOL وكانت ريتينال ديتاتشمنت ريكوردد كيس، يعني كورنيا كانت كويسه، ما كان ريتينال ديتاتشمنت مش اند اوف سايتس. معلش عشان الصلاه طبعا وي كونكلود ذيس سيشن وهنكمل ان شاء الله. معلش نعتذر بقى للي هيقولوا بعد الصلاه، نكمل ان شاء الله.
لضيوفنا في مسجدين من عند الشارع، مسجد الفولي وده مسجد اثري، ومسجد الوداع، ومسجد الوداع ده مسجد اثري ايضا، وبيقال ان في نفق كده يحرسه الجن، والنفق ده هتلاقوه مقفول لو محدش صلاه يقال يعني، والله اعلم. طيب كل واحد يخلي باله من الجزم عشان